Hey guys, before this episode of Revenge of the Sequel, we wanted to talk to you guys about an awesome new podcast that's coming out in 2K18, and that is called Countdown to Infinity, the Avengers podcast, where we watch every single Marvel movie. Andrew does a soundtrack for every single podcast.
He scores it.
But we're going to watch every single podcast. We're going to watch every single Marvel movie every week until Countdown to Infinity. It's going to be so exciting. We're going to have special guests, giveaways, games, prizes. John, are you excited?
I am totally excited. It's going to be awesome. I haven't seen some of these earlier Marvel flicks in a while, so it's going to be pretty cool to just get back in touch with them and just getting in sync before Infinity War, which is going to be, apparently the next big event other than this Star Wars, thing that we're talking about now.
I tell you,
pretty great.
Disney.
Disney
nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's going to be awesome. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
I'm excited.
But their story didn't end there. How could there have been only one? And he's back in business.
Is the worst idea in the history of bad ideas.
Part 2 is the final chapter in the violent history.
This time, it's personal.
Welcome to... Ooh, that sounded like a wrestling beginning.
Welcome to Revenge of the Sequel.
Welcome to Revenge of the Sequel. This is a podcast just about sequels. And boy, do we have a big sequel years in the waiting for you guys.
Huge.
My name's Emmanuel.
My name is John.
Oh, Shida. I'm just kidding. My name is Andrew. I was going to say my name was Jabba the Hood, but...
It's the OGs, the triple OGs, baby.
Mm-hmm. What does OG mean?
Well, original gangster.
Oh, for real?
I said gangster in such a non-gangsta way.
You pronounced it right, like gangster.
He is with that hard ER.
If we were in Star Wars, what character would you want to be?
The Porgs.
The Porgs? Ooh, Andrew with the Porg.
Oh, shit. That's a hard one. I feel like that DJ character in this new one is more up my alley. Benicio del Toro's character.
I don't know. I'd kind of want to be Leia. Seems like she
is immortal.
Anyways, guys.
Damn.
So just so you know, we're gonna talk about what we thought about the movie. It's gonna be spoiler free in the beginning, and then
except for that part.
What? That doesn't spoil anything. I mean, obviously. Oh, maybe. I don't know. You guys be the judge. And then we're going to go into a ton of spoilery-filled opinion. We'll have a trivia game in the middle. But before all that, we just want you guys to know we're giving something really cool away. We're giving away a 2018 calendar themed Star Wars The Last Jedi.
That's right. A night with all three of us together.
What?
Oh, wait, what?
In addition to a calendar.
So when did we change this?
You get to choose between a calendar or a sultry night with us.
No, well, the calendar is all of us, right? I'm Mr. January.
Okay.
And I'm Mr. January through March.
And I'm Hump Day every day. No, but it's a Star Wars calendar. It's pretty cool. It's got art for, I think, some concept art from the movie for every single month. And it's got some porgs in it.
But the only downside is that it's a 2015 calendar.
Oh yeah, so
surprise! So it's gonna be a little bit out of date.
Yeah, a lot of things in that year that are over already.
It foreshadowed this Last Jedi.
I know, no, but it's 2018 calendar. It's pretty big. I thought when we got it, I thought it was small, but it's a pretty big calendar.
And sometimes it's not the size that matters. It's just it's how you use it.
It's the months.
It is the months. The bigger the months, the more satisfying the time.
Just long, hard 12, not
months.
Inches, months.
So 12 months on this calendar. Standard calendar then.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it
no
really
extra
12?
months.
Oh, man.
It's a Gregorian calendar? I don't know. It's not a weird calendar. It's got
It is-
12 months.
It is pretty cool though, and that's going to be one lucky fan's
Yeah.
prize after
So here's what you do: go to Facebook, go to Twitter or Instagram, and like or favorite, retweet. We're gonna count all of those towards.
We're on Grinder, Friendster.
Get on
also.
Grinder and hit up Andrew. He'll count that. You'll be in a drawing.
We'll be there.
No. So you'll see a picture of this sweet calendar that we're holding. If you like it, share it, or comment. For each of those, you'll get a name in the drawing. And if you comment on this podcast, we'll put your name in 5 times. That's what we'll do.
We'll put it
Awesome.
in, and then we'll take it out, and then we'll
Yeah.
put it in again, and then we'll take it
God
out.
damn it.
It's a 2018
We're talking about
calendar.
a drawing, John.
We're gonna ship it in 2019. I'm just kidding. No, we're gonna ship it at the end of this week, pretty much. So yeah, try as much as you want. Like and comment and share, and all of you guys will get a chance to get this sweet calendar. But sweet, let's get started with Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
You sound like Oprah.
I know.
The Last Jedi.
Everyone's getting a calendar. I'm just
You
kidding.
get a Jedi.
One person's getting a calendar. But so this movie is one of the most hotly anticipated movies of the year.
Hot.
It's doing, as of now, it's doing the second best of any other movie opening weekend.
Right.
People are really liking it. Critics are really liking it.
Yeah, people are either really liking it or really not liking it.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen this movie yet,
There's no in between.
don't worry. We'll give you some real vague, general
Super
ideas
vague.
before we go into the spoilery part. So yeah, let's get. What would you tell someone who hasn't seen this movie yet and is wondering, clutching onto their Alamo Drafthouse gift card after Christmas, and wondering whether or not they should watch this movie or what's another movie that's out?
Jumanji.
Jumanji,
Yeah.
which we did watch and reviewed last week. Thank you, Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had to choose, what would you tell someone who's thinking about watching The Last Jedi?
Without getting into spoilerific, details, I would say they at least, if they have any interest in Star Wars at all, they should at least do the service of watching the movie. Because this movie is filled with, in my opinion, it is filled with really awesome surprises, really satisfying moments, and to me, it's overall just a really cool experience. Whether or not you actually, think about it afterwards and actually like the movie, you'll at least, I don't know. I just feel like it is essential to actually just watch it to see where you stand on the issue. So I feel like I feel like anybody who actually does watch it and actually gets invested in it will like it. That's just me though. So, possibly.
I think you should go in forgetting all that you know that that you think you know of Star Wars, that you typically expect going into a Star Wars movie. So I think if you really shake loose from all the other
The legends,
yeah,
stories. and
well,
stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if
you
not
know,
just
that is and
common
there's been
things.
there's been 8 Star Wars
Yeah.
movies so far. This is the 9th one, so it's just again one of those things where you're just used to it going a certain way now, and I think that's why people have been having an issue with it because they said they didn't want it one way, but they kind of really wanted it that way. Everybody wanted it to go like the way Empire went because that was that's
The next
that's
logical step.
yeah,
after
and
that.
also that's the format that they think every Star Wars movie should follow because that's the common favorite. So when they didn't get the movie that they thought was going to be the best one out of the trilogy, or the one that they expected to be the best one out of the trilogy, they freaked. And that's what I've been hearing is that everybody feels betrayed. I invested 30 plus years in this franchise or whatever. What was it, 77? So yeah, that's 40 years.
Yeah, on the dot
Mhm.
almost.
Yeah. So I just think that again, people who are used to it being a certain way have taken a little offense to it, and that's why I saw a petition that they want it removed from the canon.
Wow,
So
that's just bonkers.
but yeah, and
That's hilarious.
just because you don't like the movie doesn't mean it's a bad movie. But also, I think this is what it needed to continue.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you guys. It's probably the most modern Star Wars. But it's funny to say that because at the time, if you were in the 70s and 80s, when you watched a Star Wars movie, you probably saw something you hadn't seen before in that time.
Exactly.
And I'm going to play a clip later on before we go to our first commercial of Siskel and Ebert actually talking about this movie. or not this movie, but the one of the Star Wars movies,
The earlier ones, yeah.
earlier ones. But yeah, I think it's the one of the funniest Star Wars movies, but at the same time, maybe one of the darkest Star Wars movies.
And one of the most emotional, like literally
Yeah.
from all of them. Yeah.
It's something, and I think it's really fantastic to have. Which we'll talk a lot about Ryan Johnson. We've got a really cool interview coming up.
Big Johnson.
Big Johnson Ryan. And Big Ryan and Big Johnson. No, but
Exactly.
we'll talk about him later on. But I remember going into this movie with weeks of talking about what I thought was going to happen, and
None of that was true, right? Like,
and I was even
none of that.
close, or I couldn't even have guessed any of the things that happened in this movie, which I think is really great. And it's so cool not knowing, and giving your trust to something like the guy that made this movie. But yeah, I love this movie. It has just enough Star Wars in it, I think that will make at least me. I consider myself a fan, super happy, and enough new things to make you feel hopeful about whatever is
future, yeah.
coming our way. And whether or not people love it or hate it, that people are watching it. So it seems like
It did its job.
it's did its job. But yeah, so if you haven't seen the movie, that's all you get. All right,
9 minutes of just
9 minutes
of vague shit.
of vague stuff.
Pretty vague.
Pretty
We
vague,
didn't spoiler
baby.
anything.
So we'll give
We
you
didn't
like
spoil anything.
we'll give you guys like 5 seconds to turn it off and GTFO out of here.
We are
Um,
now 9:35
Oh,
into this podcast.
Boy, or actually,
Yeah,
here's
up
what
to
I'm gonna do.
9:40.
I'm gonna play before we talk about the spoilery part of the movie. I'm gonna play a flashback from when Empire Strikes Back came out, and Gene Siskel Ebert talked about the movie and defended it actually against another critic. But here, and when we come back, it's gonna be spoiler filled. So you've got a warning. Play the warning sound. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's the same every week.
Another, all three of you. Let's talk about the movie. Nevertheless, is it a great film? I mean, it's clearly great technology, and it does wonderful things with special effects. But in terms of the normal standards by which we judge movies, is this a great film? John Simon, clearly you say no, but why?
Well, first of all, special effects are like the tail of the dog, which should not wag the whole animal. When you have a film that's 90% special, and that's a kindly estimate, 90% special effects, you might just as well be watching a animated cartoon, because finally all those special effects begin to look totally unreal. You're looking for something that looks like flesh and blood there. You have 3 lousy actors in the main roles who don't contribute much flesh and blood. You have ghastly dialogue, terrible plotting, miserable characterization, which also do not contribute flesh and blood. So what you're left with is something that Walt Disney could have done just as well with a drawing board and pencils and colors.
All right, Roger Ebert, beyond the undeniable fact that it's clearly perceived as entertainment by a great many people, how would you argue that it's a great movie?
These are the sorts of movies that Disney people should be making, and the kinds of movies that Disney made 20, 30 years ago. I think all movies are special effects. Movies are not real. They're two-dimensional. A film goes through the camera, the projector throws the light on the screen, and that makes a special effect. It's a dream. It's an imagination. As to whether this film is good or not, it excited me. It made me laugh. It made me thrilled. And that's what a movie like this is for. I also enjoy films by Ingmar Bergman and people like that. I share that taste with Mr. Simon. But I think, in my own movie-going taste to be broad enough to also understand why a bunch of people might want to get together and see a Star Wars movie and enjoy it.
Gene Siskel, is it not possible to separate these two and to say, yes, there's such a thing as great entertainment, but it's not a great movie. Let's not pretend it is.
Well, you can say what its aspirations are. I don't think that a film should be rewarded for aiming low and hitting that mark, which sometimes in film criticism you do get that. The sort of junk movie as campy fun. I don't think this is campy fun. I think this is well-made fun. This is very good of its kind, and I want to cite another film that's out now that shows you what this kind of film can be like if it's junk, and that's Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, shot in 3D. That movie is 3D and supposed to be kind of special. The Jedi film is in 2D, and it's a lot more exciting. Just seeing those pictures back to back as I did over the last week, one clearly is better of its kind. I think Jedi is very good of its kind. What do kids have these days for entertainment? They have the Black Stallion picture, which I know...
Let's talk about what we actually thought about this fucking movie. Fuck. I feel like
Fuck this movie.
now we can say the F word,
Exactly.
and say the A word, which is alcoholism.
Octu, the planet.
Octu, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys think of this movie? Like, let's just talk about how bonkers this movie is in terms of just lore. It's crazy. It's missing a lot of classic Star Wars stuff.
Is it though?
A little bit. I think they can't fall to certain comedic elements like they could the old ones, because you would have a smart alecky Han Solo, or you'd have a smart alecky C-3PO, which was something that they kept doing in the older movies, which isn't bad. You know, he's the character who did that. So this movie, they sprinkled the comedy around to a bunch of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But it also added some new things, but it also explained so much lore in the Star Wars universe when it comes to the Force, when it comes to the
Jedi?
Skywalkers, the Jedis.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely bonkers how much this changes everything.
Kind of breaks the lore. Like it breaks. I mean, it doesn't. The funny thing is, like, I was talking to someone earlier today who was saying, like, who it doesn't break the mold enough, and I kind of expected that too, because, like, going into the movie, I expected, I didn't spoil myself or anything, like, reading reviews and stuff like that, but I did hear that, like, it was mold breaking, and that it was like risk taking and stuff like that, and I felt like, going into it and watching it, and I was like, wow, this was like, it was risky, but it wasn't as risky as it, I guess, like, as I initially thought, I guess.
Yeah, there wasn't a sex scene or something.
Yeah, there wasn't a sex scene, or like, Luke didn't change genders.
There was
I guess,
a shirtless scene though. Boom.
There was.
Oh, there was a shirtless scene. I guess that was
that is the sex.
Jabba the Hutt was naked the whole time. All right.
Yeah. You see his thing wiggling when Leia was choking him. Yeah. It's because he was into it.
There was some weird autoerotic stuff happening in that one.
As far as breaking the mold, it was like it totally did take this franchise in a new direction. It obviously, I felt like even at times, and we'll get into this possibly later, Rian Johnson was intentionally like trying to pull the rug out from people, like like intentionally trying to be subversive so he can ignite these types of debates that people are having about the movie, like whether they like it because we're in the spoiler-free part, so so we're in the spoiler zone. So like and having controversial moments like Leia floating in space because of her force powers, or not having Luke have a actual lightsaber fight scene. Like
everybody expected him to go all Yoda or Darth Maul, or something like that.
Or even like Rey from the last movie. They expected him to just like show up and
something
be like
bonkers. Yeah, be the hero.
Amazing. Just be this amazing space Jesus, and it didn't happen.
Where like they wanted him to take down a Star Destroyer, because I mean that's something you've seen in the games. That's something you see in the comics all the time. Where this
very powerful forces are just
even,
like super
Darth
powerful.
Vader being able to like throw a TIE fighter out of the sky or something.
Yeah, exactly. But
and that didn't happen.
Yeah, but we got so much more out of the Force, different things that we didn't even know was possible.
Well, and the cool thing is about the past 8 movies that have came out is that they've managed to keep it vague. They almost don't want to explain it, but now they're getting to the point where they can explain it and go even further past that. And I think that's what this movie does. And John's definitely right on it being something you don't expect, because I mean people expected Leia to pass on because she's passed on in real life, and that didn't happen. Everybody expected Luke to survive, and that didn't happen. Everybody expected answers for Rey's lineage. That didn't happen. Everybody wanted a backstory to Snoke. Nope, nothing there. No one expected the Darth Vader to kill the Emperor in the second one and just become the Emperor type of thing. So they even worked together at some point, and everybody was like, "Oh,
just like summed up the movie, and they just like a hole right out."
Yeah, well, I meant like everybody was like, for sure, Kylo's gonna turn good or Rey's gonna turn bad, and those were the only 2 options on the table.
Yeah, I heard that so many times from people.
But never did you once stop to think that they would both. It's almost like Kylo's abandoned the light and the dark, and he's just like, I'm just kind of, I just want to be a bad person and not be on the side or something
categorized.
Like
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just gonna tear up an elevator.
And then maybe he doesn't want to eventually. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. So I think it's I know I got into a whole bunch of things right there, but I mean obviously we're gonna go throughout the.
No, you're totally right. All those points that you just hit, like it's just it's the moments, and like Rian Johnson of like Looper and Brick fame, and Breaking Bad, Ozymandias. I think he directed that episode, right?
Yeah,
I think it was that one.
Yeah,
A lot of
Yeah, well,
good
one
episodes
of the
of Breaking
yeah.
Bad.
Such a craftsman when it comes to like his filmmaking and stuff like that. And like, he obviously wanted to. It almost seems like he wanted to take all the things that Abrams did in his last movie, because I don't feel like there's a roadmap for these stories. Like at least like now, like maybe Lucas keeps saying that, like, there was like, an outline of 9 films and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure if I believe that. Maybe there is an outline of 9 films, but I'm not sure if that was present during the original like 3 movies.
Yeah.
But Johnson took everything that Abrams set up and just flipped it on its ear. Like, he, because Abrams set up, Abrams set up all these things of like, and I'm not sure if
Like
Abrams
loose ends, a bunch of loose ends.
Well, see, that's the thing is like, you have to ask yourself: did Abrams set that up, or was that the fan community or was that us just kind of like throwing a theory?
Those
onto
assumptions
it?
that we had
exactly, like
based on the old ones.
What if he just put like the question of raised parents in there because he wanted to just add a little mystery to raise lineage? Maybe he didn't really think it was going to blow up that big, but
well, he wasn't planning on making the next one. So what's really cool about this whole franchise as a whole is it seems as though it's very Breaking Bad-esque, where a writer will write, for example, Walter White in a situation, and then the next writer will have to write him out of that situation.
Right, exactly.
And so in these, I mean, the trick here is Walter White's popular, but not as popular as Luke fucking Skywalker.
Yeah.
So you're writing these, these loose ends or these people in these situations, and then they're passing it on to the next guy to be like, well, what happens next? And there's a lot of great creativity that can happen from that. Obviously, Breaking Bad is ridiculously good because it makes you have to think about how great storytelling can be. But I think this is kind of that same whole. I mean, J.J. Abrams is coming back, I think, to tie up loose ends. But I think it's really crazy. I think what's hard is we think about how brilliantly the old Star Wars movies were, because I mean the whole "I am your father" sequence is huge in pop culture. Darth Vader is Luke's dad. That's something that turns a lot of things on its head. But the advantage
it was subversive then too.
Yeah,
that's
super
exactly
subversive.
what I was telling John, is that A New Hope and Empire were really different from each other, and Empire was kind of like the oddball out, and it was so different that some people didn't like it then. I bet you people flipped when they were like, "Oh, he's his dad. What the fuck?"
George Lucas still doesn't like it. Like, it's his least favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
George
exactly.
Lucas.
And I mean, they did that even on set. They didn't let any of the actors know, and they kind of did it. And everybody was like, "Whoa! Like, this is crazy different. I did not think that this was going to go this way." So I think it took people a long time to be okay with Empire, and now it's again the common favorite of everybody.
I think the advantage they had was they didn't have 3 other Star Wars movies before that everything was being compared to, because this movie, I mean, there are 8 Star Wars movies out there, and at that point, if you made that many films in the same universe, you'll start to see a lot of the same types of themes. I mean, like the struggle between the dark side and the light side, because that happened in every other movie. If you have the powers of the Force, it's the struggle that you have, which is the natural struggle. But even visual things like Hoth and the I don't know what the salt planet in this movie. There are a lot of themes that, because there are 8 other movies, you will happen across. But what Johnson did is take those same themes and really make them different. I mean, because we have the struggle between light side and dark side, which still happens in this movie, but you also have Luke Skywalker, who just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Well, yeah,
about
I mean,
anything.
Even
super depressed.
A more of a main theme in this one than good versus evil is literally just letting go of the past, which I feel like is a whole meta situation.
That's
on the entire franchise. Like, it's a commentary on the entire franchise.
And that's what people are going to, like, people don't realize it now, but people are going to have to come to terms with something like this. So whether it was now with this movie, which it was
or
with
episode
this movie,
9,
or the next one, or the one after that, because when you're following this typical outline, you limit yourself. And, like, you want to see a cool Star Wars space Western movie, like a Western one. Or you want to see, like, I remember telling John, like, I wonder how the Han Solo movie is going to be. Is it going to be like the Fast and the Furious, where they kind of, like, race for pink slips or something?
Yeah.
Or even this movie, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that little storyline where they were running out of fuel. It reminded me of, like, a Mad Max chase in space. We're like, oh man, it's time to get that fuel, and oh man, we're not going to make it. We got to stay on the road or whatever and keep going. So there are elements that kind of reminded me of that a little bit. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I mean, you want to see these different types of movies in the Star Wars universe because it's so big, and you don't want to just say like, oh, I mean, Rogue One, it was still connected to the Skywalkers because you're going to get the plans to a Skywalker.
Yeah.
Solo still connected to the Skywalkers because ultimately he ends up in the hands of the Skywalkers. But when does that end? You've already seen, obviously, Carrie Fisher pass on, and I mean, Han Solo and
the characters
Mark
are
Hamill
gone,
aren't going to be able to do this for very much longer.
Yeah.
So you got to learn to let go of these characters. And
if there's any time to make it new, plant the seeds now.
Well, and why wouldn't you want to make it new? Why would you want to just go back and do the same thing again? So I mean, that's it. Again, it's just like a Band-Aid being ripped off, and I think that's what is pissing people off.
And a lot of this movie is centered around a lot of the war part of Star Wars. There's that famous casino scene where they meet the Benicio del Toro character DJ, where we learn that people are profiteering, much like now people are profiteering from these wars and battles that are happening in space,
selling to both sides.
There's a lot of commentary on on hope and inspiration.
Fun fact,
yeah,
Mark Hamill is a CGI character in that casino scene.
Whoa!
I do not know which one. He doesn't want to say. And also, Joseph Gordon-Levitt also makes his cameo in here, and he's the one who points out
Ryan Johnson regular.
Yeah, he points out Rey and Rose to the cops. It's not the First Order; it's those cops from that planet.
A lot of cameos, baby.
Boom.
Cameo.
Yeah, this movie has so much in it, and it really takes. I felt this really weird thing where you're watching Star Wars, one of the biggest sci-fi movies ever, and in the middle of it, you have Luke Skywalker going through, I would say, like a midlife crisis or something close to that, and you've got people who are. It's kind of dark and nihilistic in a way because even DJ doesn't care. He's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Good
Luke
guys,
Skywalker's
bad guys.
Doesn't matter anyways. The Force doesn't matter because whatever's going to happens anyways.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing to see that in like a Star Wars movie, because that's something you'd see from a movie much less popular, because you'd figure Star Wars, what parts of New Hope work, what parts of Empire work, what parts of Jedi worked, and let's put them all together. It's so new, it's so different, it's so bonkers. Let's talk about a couple things. Ryan Johnson is the director of this movie, and I think he wrote a ton of it. I heard Kasdan had written the script, and Johnson came in and said, "Is it all right if we redo the whole?"
I think so too. Yeah,
the whole thing.
He's got writer and director credit, so it's like written and directed by Ryan Johnson.
What do you guys think about him? First of all, what do you guys think of his other movies, Looper? And I haven't seen Brick.
I have not seen Brick. I actually own it. I haven't seen it yet. I do want to watch it after watching this movie.
I know an actor from Brick also has a cameo.
Really?
Yeah. In this movie.
Looper is great. It's one of the smartest science fiction movies in the past couple of years when it comes to time travel stuff, because it's really hard to make.
Hard.
Making an actual good time travel movie is really hard, and Looper is really good.
You don't do it successfully.
Yeah. And even then, Doctor Who's kind of just
sometimes
hit or miss.
Well, it's because Doctor Who mentions its own logic, eventually, whenever it gets too ridiculous, they comment on their own absurdity, and Looper doesn't do that. So Looper is actually really good. And as far as those episodes that he directed from Breaking Bad, man, they're just phenomenal. He just has a really good eye for action and composition.
Yeah.
That just makes this Star Wars movie visually, it elevates it visually above all the other movies. I think I would even put it above visually. I'm not saying overall, but visually, I think I'd put it above the original. I don't know. Maybe it's tied with Empire when it comes to visuals and stuff like that. But
it's a very complete movie. Everything serves such a. I think you texted me that everything serves a purpose. Every little
frame,
part of the movie,
every little frame.
But you're right. Every frame, every decision of cutting. Man, when he's explaining the Force to Rey, that sequence was so awesome.
And it's amazing. It is so amazing. And you also get some Ryan Johnson-esque type of shots, especially with that Admiral Holdo, Laura Dern's character when she hyperspeeds
and
then does a really weird looper
and
slow-mo.
It shuts out the audio and you're just oh shit.
And you're that's a Ryan Johnson fucking
You could
scene.
hear everybody's reaction in the theater, just everybody going oh.
Yeah,
know,
that
like
was the
gasping.
biggest awe-inducing moment for me. That I
Probably
opened my
in
mouth.
all of Star Wars history, since
Oh, yeah.
the Death Star, maybe I don't know, but even then, the
Yeah.
Death Star back in the day, it shot out and some sparks came out. Everybody's like, "Oh my god!"
But that's a
Some
great
sparks came
that's a
out.
great example. Laura Dern's character is in the movie for maybe 6 minutes.
Only an act,
It's
probably,
a very
like, just,
small
like, yeah.
portion of the movie, but a very complete
arc.
Yeah, she
And
feels like someone
every
out of
little
Rogue
character.
One.
Yeah,
Straight out
it's
of Rogue
just-
One.
I do feel like she probably could have been combined with Leia's character, because her character was kind of at times.
John said that would have been a cool send off, is to have Leia like.
That was
crash
just
through the
yeah.
thing
That's just.
and
I know that that's a little
hyperspeed.
disrespectful too.
Yeah.
But I feel like only because like
It's a little
the-
morbid, John.
It is. Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I backtracked whenever I said that. But the thing is, like, I mean, I could see that happening only because like Admiral Holdo's character was kind of weird because now that we're I guess going into a tangent on actual plot points.
Yeah.
Holdo's character, I don't know. There was just like so much build up to that Canto Bright sequence. That Canto Bright is the casino plan and stuff like that. And then instantly it's taken away from you. Like this is at this point, I think I was talking with Adam, Adam who was just on the podcast last time. We were just talking and then we were saying that like at this point it did seem like Johnson was being obviously subversive because you just went through this entire like subplot where you send Ray and not Ray, what's his name? Finn and Rose off the ship to do this like entire crazy
A weird,
side
like,
mission.
mission-based
Yeah, exactly. Like very
sequence.
very plot-based sequence. And then the
That
payoff
becomes
doesn't
nothing.
even. Yeah, exactly. That means nothing because the whole was like, we had another plan.
Well, and
I
I
was
did
just
tell
like, what the
John
fuck?
that the only meaning it really has is that it alerts the First Order that they're having the little stealth little ships, and it starts to increase the tension because oh my god, like when is he going to shoot Leia? When is he going to shoot Leia?
It's not incredibly. It is a great way to end that third act, though. It's the hardest act.
It's
to
just
do.
a little drawn out though, because I even told Andrew I was like that. I get what we were trying to get to, but we could have
But
done
I
it in
also
less.
I think it's planting seeds for the future because I think Ryan Johnson's trilogy will take place will be about that little farm boy. It said he's a farm boy.
Yeah.
He's got the ring from the Resistance. He can use the Force. He's got 2 supporting characters already.
Maybe.
That,
Dang, Andrew's already spoiling.
Well, I mean, could you imagine
the
it'd
Ryan
be
Johnson
like,
trilogy?
what if it was like
Untitled.
a Stranger Things? Like it focused with kids around the Force or something like that, or something weird that you've never seen
Are
before.
you saying 11 is a Jedi?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway,
Episode 10, starring
know.
Millie Bobby Brown.
also I saw that it just kind of wants to show you that like it's just really Poe, like how hot-headed he is, because you see he's like, hey, let's do this plan, let's not tell anybody, no, and let's go, let's do it, like I don't like her plan,
Super
so
impulsive.
yeah, exactly, and I think that's what it
That's
really
what
means
his character
to show.
needed to go through.
And that's why I think I do ended up liking that plot point,
Yeah.
a whole lot more.
Even though it was dragged
than-
on just
exactly.
a bit more.
Well, again, the first time I was like, "There's no point to this." Like, I don't know why.
They're just
Like,
trying to get Finn to do
yeah.
something after
I
his
was like,
coma.
this is just a
Yeah.
new planet.
I was
Just
like, this feels
Star
like
Wars
a Walking Dead episode. You're splitting off all the cast. Like, I'm not getting everybody. All
Or
at
would you say it's a
once.
prequel sequence, like
Yeah.
almost like
I
episode
would
2-esque?
believe that if I went to the Disney store and there was like an alien action figure for every person in that
Yeah.
casino, then I'm like, okay, I get what the scene was.
Space Vegas. That's what we're gonna call it from here on.
Vegas. But I
Yeah.
think a huge part
With the
of
chips.
which we can talk about. We have a cool Carrie Fisher interview too. We may do maybe at the end.
Awesome.
None of my questions made it, but we can play it.
Yeah.
But I don't. We can talk about how you think they handled it. Of course, Carrie Fisher passed away
A year ago.
a year ago after after filming this movie. They in fact didn't cut out any of her scenes from the film.
They
Everything they
alter it,
shot is in the movie. But her family is letting them use her footage in the next film, but Disney said she's just not going to be in it. So I
Yeah,
think they'll
out of-
address it in the crawl or something.
Yeah, well, that's what John said. John said the first one, or the next one might start with
Open
a
with-
funeral.
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. Like
Yeah,
it might open with a funeral, and imagine like the First Order attacking that funeral.
Yeah,
Like I can just, or like a time jump, like because this one was obviously
right after.
the Last Jedi was right after the Force Awakens. Like the First Order is chasing the Resistance right off that
It's
planet.
probably
Like
just
after
gonna
it
start
happened.
like Justice League. Everybody knows that.
Oh, don't reference
But
that
I
movie on
think- I
this
think-
podcast.
But I
Justice
think
League's
because
good. it has a higher user score than this movie.
God
Boom.
damn it!
well, this movie came out before, and it was written and shot before Carrie Fisher passed away. I think they were having Leia written as being some kind
A
of
main character.
main all-powerful
Yeah.
person. Because we get that the Leia Poppins scene where we learn that through the Force she can basically survive in space. But
She Star-Lords it.
she Star-Lords it. But
Yeah.
it seems as though and she's teaching other people how to become a leader. Do you think that if she had not passed away, that Leia would be like a
well, and look at how many times
character?
they had they had the chance to, cut her character when, like, she got blown out first, and then you're like, oh man, like she's out in space, she's
gone.
dead.
Yeah.
And then she ends up flying with the Force, and I saw people complaining about that, like, that's ridiculous. But look, she's twins.
It is jarring. I mean,
No,
I
well,
would
told you,
when I
she's-
first
she's
saw
a
it, like I
twin
was
to,
like,
the most powerful
Yeah.
Jedi ever. What did you expect? Anyway, so we keep going, and then obviously she has the chance to stay on the ship, and she's like, hey, no, I'm gonna stay on the ship to pilot it so all the life vessels can get off. And she's like, I've had too many losses,
yeah.
and Laura Dern ends up staying back or whatever. But you could have done it there, and I don't know, even at some time at the end when
Yeah.
Kylo was gonna storm that thing, but
it almost seemed like she was going to stay behind too when she was
exactly.
there. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like her and Luke were going to be the distraction, but but they didn't, and I think that's super ballsy.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty. That's
because
pretty
Leia
awesome.
Organa is literally the backbone of this
Yeah,
rebellion.
Well,
like,
and now you get the out of the original 3, 2 of them are gone, and the one that's not is gone in real life.
Yeah.
So
it just makes you.
That's
and
crazy.
It's crazy because Sophia, my girlfriend, came and watched the movie, and she teared up almost every time Carrie Fisher was on scene because this is probably one of the best movies she's ever done.
Oh yeah,
ever. She's
No, yeah,
she
totally.
did
It's the
carry a
performance,
ton
the
of
performance of her life.
Besides Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back,
Which is, no disrespect to her memory and everything, but it is miles ahead of what she was doing in The Force Awakens. Because I
Yeah.
remember I think if you go back and actually listen to the Force Awakens podcast that we actually did a couple of years ago, one of the most jarring things in that movie was Leia's performance. Or no, not Leia's, Carrie Fisher's performance.
Yeah.
Because, she hadn't obviously acted in a while and stuff like that. And so she basically came out of retirement to do that movie.
Yeah.
And there were some scenes that worked, and then some scenes still kind of, even watching it a couple of days ago before The Last Jedi, kind of is a little cringeworthy because you can totally tell, not anything wrong with it, but you can totally tell that she just came back to the game. And so, like, watching her in this one, it's amazing because it's the performance of her career. Because, she obviously, to me, it's her best performance since the last time I saw her was like on a Smallville episode, years back. And so it's really awesome to see that. And I also did remember reading that, these trilogy of movies were going to have a central classic character each movie. And Force Awakens was Han Solo. Last Jedi is obviously Luke. And Leia, I keep calling her Leia, man, rest in peace. Carrie Fisher is, actually
The third one.
Yeah, she actually told Ryan Johnson and like Kathleen Kennedy, she's like, can my movie be the third one? Because you have Mark doing the second one. She's like, you had Harrison doing the first one. She's like, my movie is going to be the third one. And everyone's like, yeah, let's do that. And now that she's no longer with us, I mean, it's kind of sad
big
that that's not
missing
going to
piece,
go
yeah.
there. Yeah, and it's also obviously a very big course correction because that originally was the plan.
Well, one of the
to do it
biggest
that way.
loose ends I thought that I really liked from the originals is that Luke always thought that he was the main, or we always thought Luke was the main character. And when I don't know who Darth Vader says there's another, your mind is just blown because like, oh shit, there's someone else who's super powerful.
Yeah, and the movie
who can bring balance to the Force just the same as as
the
Luke
movies
can.
were almost equally about her too. Like it's about saving her, and it's like
Yeah.
it's almost like the Legend of Zelda thing, where like the game's named after Zelda. You're not
Yeah.
you're saving the princess, and you're not. That's not the main character, but in a way, it kind of is. That's the driving force of
Yeah.
whatever they're doing in the movie. And then she ends up taking the lead from there, literally taking the blaster away from them, and like, get out of my way. We need to go down this garbage chute. Let's follow me. And they're like, where did you get this girl? This girl's a princess. And, so and then she ends up becoming such a pivotal character in this trilogy. So I think John's right. Is that, man? It's a
It's a
so
shame
tragic.
that we won't get that actual third movie with her as the main character.
And, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how they're gonna be able to.
Everything does kind of lead up to that. Everything's gearing towards something.
Yeah,
You know,
and-
what was
well,
supposed to be something.
Yeah. Well, and it definitely looks like they're like kill off Han Solo first one, kill off Luke second, and then I guess Leia's the
Have
third.
her be
but
the
but I don't. I just want. It's just going to be interesting to see how they do this.
yeah.
Chewie, maybe in the
Yeah,
third one.
yeah, oh, man.
possibly.
Chewie will never die. Come on, guys. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the other side of this. We talked about a lot already, but what do you think about Mark Hamill? And he was barely in The Force Awakens, and
Yeah.
he is so central to this movie, and everything is sort of riding on his return in the film, but also I think for a lot of fans watching this movie, wanting to see, you know, him do something amazing, which
This is
I
the
think
big
he
one,
does.
Yeah, he,
'Cause
does,
at the-
he really does.
He does something that no other Jedi
No
has
other.
Well,
done.
He does say in the movie, "This is not going to go the way you think."
Yeah.
So
and
like that
man,
should be the hint for
Yeah.
people. Like, you know, this isn't your typical Star Wars movie that's going to happen. You know, but as far as like Mark Hamill's concerned, damn, this guy.
He's almost like the reverse
was great.
Obi-Wan
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah.
You know, like where it's. I love the point of view thing where they give you the flashback and they're like, hey, this is what happened. That forced
Rashomon
Kylo to go. You know,
Yeah.
go bad.
Doesn't it seem like it's just a misunderstanding?
Y-
And
yeah,
that
a-
makes,
a
me-
lot.
he
that
said
makes me
he
so
said,
sad
yeah.
because it's just
Yeah.
a tiny misunderstanding.
Well, and that's what I like about this movie is that like so many pivotal aspects are on such small details where like, oh, that misunderstanding that like Kylo thought that he was gonna kill him when Luke was like thought about killing him, but he wasn't really gonna kill him.
But, you just
But now
happen to
he
have
already saw
his-
the lightsaber, so
Yeah.
he's like, oh man, it
It's
looks
like
like
the gray area. It's not just
yeah,
good,
hell,
bad.
and even like the you know Leia's predicament where like, oh man, we're running out of fuel, but now they found a way to track us into hyperspace, so we can't
Yeah.
hyperspace travel because then we're gonna lose the fuel that we need to get away from them, and they destroyed our home base, so we're trying to find a new
Yeah, and I was
base.
thinking, like, man, what's the clever thing that they're gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. But so and I know people freak out at things like that because they're like, oh man, that was dumb. And we're like,
Yeah.
well, you know, and why was it dumb? You know, type
Yeah.
of thing. To me, all of it worked. But I love that again. A lot of these big plot points have to do with something so minor in the story,
And
it just ends up turning into a big thing. You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's a lot in the trivia game. I guess we'll talk a little bit because there's some cool piece of trivia.
What did you
on
think of
Hamill.
Luke? Like, since do
I
you
thought-
have
I-
a
I
huge
thought it was
connection
good.
to Luke? When-
You know, this shared, I think, a theme with Blade Runner, which was you're not the hero of the story that you're telling, kind of thing.
right? Yeah.
Because Luke, I think, initially was holding a lot of that pressure on himself. This whole movie,
Mhm.
thinking like, "Hey,
It's
I-
meta
I-
too because
I-
it's also like
super
what-
meta."
Yeah,
'cause it's Mark
exactly.
Hamill, yeah. But he's like, Am I gonna save this whole thing? Are we just gonna do this whole thing over again, and then
And then it
someone
happened
else,
again.
and
Yeah,
then
it
it just
happened
keeps
again in
happening
another
cyclical,
couple of years.
then they make
yeah.
another sequel, and which is an understandable kind of 3-dimensional emotion to have. If you save the galaxy once, is, you know, I'm gonna have to save them again.
Or you're gonna have to do it for the rest of your life. Like it's just
Yeah.
like that's exactly.
But it was so cool how his evolution from that to being like, you know what? There's a reason why the Jedi lore is passed down, is because it's a constant battle, but there always have to be warriors in this
Exactly.
constant, eternal fight between good and evil. And I thought that was really cool. And he served somewhat of a father figure to Rey, which they address.
Kylo does. Yeah.
Kylo addresses because he's like, you. I mean, they
You
show
look
Han
for a father
Solo
figure in
for Han
Han.
Solo and for Luke because she never had a father
Yeah. Next one's Lando. Lando, she's coming for you.
in Cloud City, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought he did a great job. Now on the other end of the spectrum, we'll talk about two because they're the two main heroes of the movie.
What do you think of his acting, though? Here we go about like actual. Let's go into technical stuff because Mark Hamill is. I'm not dissing Mark Hamill when I say this, but Mark Hamill is a notorious. If you've seen any of his other work, he's over the top.
Yeah.
Like he is so like big and bright, almost like a theater actor, I guess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we just kind of like, you know, when it comes to facial
He's
expressions,
great
even
for voice acting, which
yeah,
he does.
voice acting. He plays the Joker. He plays multiple DC characters. He loves the DC comic world and stuff like
A lot
that.
of anime, the
Yeah,
Kingdom
anime.
Hearts.
He's directed comic book the
Yeah,
movie, which
yeah,
is like
yeah.
you know just a bunch of like you know it's just a you know it's a commentary on basically on comic book culture and stuff like that, and that's pretty cool. I thought he performed the performance of his life here.
This was really good.
And it was really cool, and it was also very Mark Hamill like though, because even like parts the very subtle parts where the part where he's about to kill Kylo Ren, his eyes are like super wide, and it's just like
so good.
Yeah,
it's so crazy.
and
Like
I
it's
love
just
it
it's amazing.
because, fuck, I think I forgot what I was gonna say.
God damn it.
I'm gonna try to think of something real quick to say, but
He did a good job.
yeah, he did a good job.
Okay, cool. We'll come back to that then.
Yeah.
If you remember that thought, just
Yeah, we'll
interrupt
see.
us.
That hoe over there thought.
Let's talk about the villains of the movie. So Kylo,
Snoke,
Hux. Snoke, who
Hux too.
and Hux.
All right, I think I got it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so anyway, so you get to Luke, and I think you think that like for sure you're gonna get the wiseness of Obi-Wan, but you just get Luke, which is cool because they give him the lightsaber, and it's
He's
very
a different Luke. He's a broken
it's
Luke.
very Luke-esque,
Yeah.
like just kind of tosses it over his
Yeah.
shoulder, like I don't give a fuck. That man, I lost that a long time ago. I got this new green one now.
And he really is the last Jedi.
Yeah. Well, and
Title of the movie. No, because if we look at all the other Jedis, they were all trained in some very formal
way,
school
yeah.
way.
So like that's literally
They
what it
knew
happens.
The rules.
Yeah,
Luke
and-
doesn't know what the fucking rules are. He was only training for like a day with Ben, and then
And then Yoda.
he's the
Yeah.
last Jedi.
and he didn't even finish his training. I was
Oh
telling
no,
John,
he didn't even pass.
and I think that's what's cool about Luke is that like he has an understanding of what's beyond the Jedi and like the dark side, where he's like the Force doesn't belong to the Jedi.
Yeah,
The Force doesn't belong to the dark side.
He
It
has
belongs
that-
to anybody that can feel it.
he has that perspective from being on the outside and
Yeah.
like going to Toshki Station to pick up some power converters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
I do love that too because he does comment on the move on. He basically comments on the, which is also cool too. If anyone for some reason likes the prequels and actually starts like watching this movie, they'll actually have some fan service, not fan service, but they do mention the prequels. Like they mentioned Darth Sidious by name, but he also says
this
though
is in the original. So.
but he wasn't named Darth Sidious in the original though.
Emperor.
But the thing is, like, he mentions all that stuff. He basically just says, like, the Jedi were just another, like, that's where the themes come into play. Because he's
Yeah.
like, the whole movie is about, or people in general, just romanticizing the past.
Yeah.
And he was like, the Jedi weren't all good. He was like, the Jedi basically, like, they were just another group of
Powerful
people with political agendas. Like, they didn't go and.
They got tricked.
Yeah,
like
exactly. They
anybody
got
else would've
tricked by
been.
somebody else.
Yeah, if you watch any of the prequels, they talk about the fucking Senate like a
Over and
million
over, yeah.
times.
And like they pass through a slave owned planet like Tatooine, and all they do is free one boy because that one boy is going to benefit their order.
And they sent 2 Jedis for a trade embargo on Naboo.
Hey, solve this political thing. It's almost like they're glorified like bodyguards almost.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
exactly.
This whole Star Wars thing.
And remember the whole thing. We don't actually fight. Okay.
Yeah. And that's all they really do is fight. But
Yeah.
but that's what's so cool about Mark Hamill's character is
'Cause he
again
puts in
having,
his perspective.
yeah,
He's just
having
like,
that deeper understanding, and even you see Kylo kind of think of it at the end too, where he's like, let's leave all that stuff in the past.
They're
like,
kind of on the same page a little bit.
yeah.
just a bit.
Because it instead of being, even though he ultimately fulfills it, Kylo Ren isn't sort of the apprentice to a Sith Lord type, even though he eventually does kill Snoke
and
and
stuff, yeah.
becomes whatever. But he doesn't, it seems to me like he doesn't care that much, because he even says in the whole thing with Rey, he's like, who the fuck? Who cares about the
Yeah,
Empire?
exactly. Yeah,
All this
yeah.
is
about the
do
Sith,
whatever
the
you
Jedi.
want.
He's like,
Yeah.
let's start something new. Like,
Yeah.
just like, yeah, exactly.
It's just bonkers.
That's what this movie does.
Yeah, and that's just
Start
one of the
something
things this
new.
movie fucked you up.
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I don't. I think I can't say enough about this movie
Yeah.
for sure.
I just thought that was interesting. That scene, what I just explained with Luke, though, is because like he kind of puts the previous 2 trilogies into perspective. Like, the first trilogy is the reality of the situation. Like the Jedi were just another political group
In the
and
past,
stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. And then they got outmaneuvered and beaten because
Yeah.
because they were tricked at the height of their power. And then the original trilogy was like a fantasy. Like, they basically, like, everyone at that point thought that Jedi were like
legend,
this
yeah.
legend. Yeah. Like, they're just all powerful Messiah that just, protected the galaxy.
And now they have they had books.
Yeah. They had books, and apparently, like, they weren't all that great. Like, if they were that great, they wouldn't have gotten beaten.
Yeah.
So that's what
They would
he's
still have
basically
been
trying
around.
to say. Yeah, exactly.
It's an interesting context to the whole mythology.
Yeah, exactly. It literally shakes it up, and it's literally challenging your perspective on what you knew about Star Wars.
And you know who else challenges this perspective, since we're in the spoiler zone? The greatest Jedi of them all, Yoda.
Yoda, yeah. Even Yoda
also
himself says it.
challenges the perspective by straight up blowing up the Jedi tree.
The Jedi tree.
It's like,
yeah.
all right, fuck it.
Yeah,
And then literally like just like quipping about it afterwards, like
Well,
just trying to
that's
be
the
all
cool
like
thing too, is that
sarcastic.
he's still schooling Luke. You know, like he's still wiser beyond anybody's years.
He's just gotten wiser as he's been dead.
Yeah, well, and that's what the cool thing is, that you started like there has started to be things, story elements in the Star Wars canon. Like recently in a book, Qui-Gon came back and they found that his Force Ghost was stronger than he was when he was alive.
Well, don't you become?
Yeah, eventually, yeah, exactly. The Force.
like the Force.
Become the
You
Force,
see that in this one where like Yoda's like, oh, he's gonna burn it down. Oh, he doesn't have the nuts to burn it down. Let me just strike
And
it
then
with
he
lightning.
controls the
The
weapon.
lightning, yeah.
He
And
like
think
makes
about
the
that.
storm. You know.
This is the Force power is beyond like planets, because Yoda. I mean, it's just bonkers.
Oh yeah, and you
Like
see
anywhere in the whole
you
universe.
see Snoke do it too. Snoke is
Yeah.
able to use the Force through the little the
Hologram.
hologram
Yeah.
thing where he moves Hux back and forth. Where you're getting all these new elements to the Force and things that you never thought it could do.
So two things. What do you guys think about? We'll talk about Snoke in a bit. What do you guys think about Yoda? He's a puppet again.
Yeah, he looked cute as
I
fuck.
loved it. It was
Badass
just like,
cameo, right? My
His-
favorite cameo. of the
yeah,
whole
it was
movie.
the best. As soon as we
I
hear him
never-
say that, and then just
Well,
like,
I never thought I'd be able to hear Ray's name come out of Yoda's mouth, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, the girl Ray," and I'm like, "Oh shit, this
well,
is cool."
I just love the fact that Yoda is full on Empire Strikes Back Yoda,
Yeah,
because
I
even
know.
his voice is higher pitched
Yeah.
and all impish, like
He's got a ton of
he
energy.
doesn't ever laugh in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Do
He
you know
looks
that?
super
like
old,
never.
and he's like still hitting people,
Yeah,
with
on
his
the
cane,
head.
like a little old man.
His
Yeah,
eyes
it's
are all
good,
wide,
yeah.
like the way they were in Empire Strikes Back
And
and,
then-
stuff.
And he's always like, "Man, I still love fucking with these Skywalker." Man,
Yeah,
this
exactly,
This
yeah.
is the best.
And then second thing, Snoke. There isn't a lot of explanation over who he is, what his deal is, or where he's from. And then he's all Andy Serkis. He's the motion capture and also the voice. And
Mhm.
Which is another stellar job. by
another Andy Serkis
Yeah.
production.
Uh-huh.
Ryan Johnson. Oh, never mind.
Andy
I just
Serkis.
want to say his name. We forgot to say it in the last 5 minutes. But what do you guys think of Snoke? Like, do you care about where he was from? What do you think about what happens to him in this movie?
I think you could address it, but in another medium. I don't think you should address it in the new movie. But it's
Sure, Disney owns like a ton of comic books.
sure,
and
yeah,
a
and
shit ton of
video
everything.
game,
TV
whatever,
shows. Yeah.
exactly. The cartoon, whatever you want to do. You want to do a Netflix series where it's like young Snoke, the early years. But Ryan, I read an interview with Ryan Johnson saying like you wanted him to be Plagueis, but had he explained that to Ray, like I'm Plagueis, Ray would have been like, who?
Yeah, no
And
one
then it
would've
would have
known,
kept going. So he's like, it doesn't really like no one knows who the fuck anybody was from the past unless even Luke. Like if you were to tell him like, oh, he's Darth Plagueis, Luke's like, who?
Yeah.
I didn't know who the fuck the Emperor's master was or whatever. It's not like you got to chat with Darth Vader for like 3 hours before he died.
Yeah.
But so I think Ryan Johnson did good because in the original trilogy, he never gave you an explanation for the Emperor.
It's true. You,
You
just
know,
knew
and
he was in charge of everything.
No one had a problem with that, but they gave you the prequels, and now everybody suddenly has a problem with it
Mhm.
because everybody needs backstory, and and no one really thinks for the future. Everybody just kind of is in the moment. Where for the next trilogy, maybe that's Ryan Johnson's next trilogy. Fuck it,
I gotta say, Snoke's my favorite. I mean, they built a ton of amazing sets in this movie.
For
'Cause
sure.
Ryan Johnson thought I have whatever I want.
His set, right? Like his
But
throne room.
Snoke's
that
throne
red,
room
that red
and
there.
the
yeah.
guards, and the
guards-
whole thing.
Well, the guards
was
blew
awesome.
everybody away, bro.
Yeah.
Because at first,
You know that
Palpatine-
Snoke comes from the same planet as his guards, apparently.
Oh man, no wonder he got so strong. Because
Yeah.
they're just some sort of kung fu planet. I'm
Some
sure.
sort of force,
Yeah.
sensitive fucking.
But it was
planet.
such a callback, not even a callback, but it reminded me so much of those old epics where they had to build like something in a studio,
Yeah.
and so like Hitchcock or someone would have to, or Howard Hughes, they would have to move the camera around in this space to give power or to make the movie look cool, even though you're
Right.
just in a big old room, and they didn't have to go too crazy with, well, I mean, the originals were good. They weren't
Mhm.
fighting in an engine room or something crazy like that.
Right.
Yeah, I love that set amongst a ton of the sets. I heard that the Casino Planet had all those extras were there.
Yeah,
Really?
in
Mark
that-
Hamill said
in
that
that
was
scene.
a treat. That's why he really wanted to be in that scene as a CGI character because he said they had like 200 extras, or he said
Yeah.
150, and then Ryan Johnson was like, it was 200.
That-
They had 200 people in costume.
Even that island, when we're about to talk some Porg right now, even that island that they shot on, which is a World Heritage Site. And I don't think anyone else is allowed to shoot there unless it's a Star Wars movie.
Right. It's so expensive.
I know Luke Skywalker Mark Hamill wanted to spend the night there overnight instead of having to fly and then climb 800 flights. First, to be in the character.
Because he almost died in the first movie. He almost fell off of that mountain.
Yeah,
like
but
someone
they
had to
said
catch
no.
him.
They said no, you can't stay here. But let's talk Porg. What do you guys? Yeah.
One more thing of the Snoke thing, just adding Snoke's backstory, the fact that he's killed off and then you don't get a lot of backstory from him, it goes with the theme of the movie.
It's true.
Because the theme of the movie is like...
not the main character.
Well, it's just the theme of the movie to me is like, the Force is not beholden by the Jedi or the Sith. Like, let's get rid of this bloodline type of thing, or this, like, chosen one type of mentality.
This Emperor vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because that's what Snoke says. Like, Snoke is super proud of Kylo Ren because he's Darth Vader's heir, and this and that, and this and that. Yeah, and that's the way the Jedi used to operate, too. The Jedi would operate with people who are born Force sensitive, and they would pick and choose their people.
There's that scene where they test
they test people, basically.
Unless you're born into a certain lineage, then you don't get the special
and
power.
They would never have found Anakin if he didn't live on Coruscant.
Exactly, and they're trying to go away from that. Like, let's stop saying that you're born special. Everyone's special.
Yeah,
exactly. Everyone's special, and so that Rey is a nobody. Rey's parents, sold her for drinking money and stuff like that.
She's powerful.
Yeah, but she's super powerful.
Well, that's the same thing with Snoke.
Snoke
might be nobody.
Snoke may be nobody. He's just a person who just...
And at the end of the day, he is. Like, he died.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the cool thing. It's almost like similar to Looper, where like he has that little kid with the Rainmaker. It was literally a nobody. Or like he goes to track him down. He's like, who the fuck is this menacing dude? And you look at it, it's just a menacing kid that ends up turning
bad because of one decision.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically what Snoke is, and he has some pretty dope ass power too, where he sends Kylo Ren back shooting lightning.
Lightning out of the ground at one point, just like it's pretty awesome.
And then obviously he's able to just control Rey any way he wanted.
Oh, and he has that other. What we're talking about, Force powers. He can also manipulate, I guess, their ability to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And also feel certain things, right? Because is he the reason why Kylo Ren couldn't shoot his mom, or was that him?
No, I think that's Kylo.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, he did open that Force channel, and they kept thinking throughout the whole movie, like, why is the Force connecting us? And you found out that it was just a ploy by Snoke, which again, he's hella powerful. Obviously,
it's bonkers, right? So it even makes you, because that's something that I sort of dawned on in this movie that I didn't even think about, is the Force has. For us, if we have to get to Mars, we have to fly to Mars. There's a lot of movement, but the Force is like interdimensional or something so powerful that it could cross planets wherever
Galaxies,
the fuck they are. Yeah,
exactly.
Another fun fact: did you notice who lost his arm in this movie? It is Snoke. Snoke is cut in half from the middle. Yeah, because you didn't notice that no one had their arm cut off.
Yeah,
but yeah, when you look at it, Hux is like there with his body, and his lower half falls off the chair, and both of his arms are still on the chair.
I didn't even realize
so
that.
There you go. The more you know. I know people are going to be wondering whose arm got cut off in this. That's what some people only go to see these movies to see who.
Okay, I don't know who amputees go to these movies.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, so this movie should be titled Star Wars. Who cares? I'm kidding. That's really the thing. We're like, who cares who's in charge?
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares who's in line? Who the fuck cares who's fighting who?
Yeah, who gives a fuck what you think?
I know. And the epitome of that are these porgs. I'm just kidding. No. What do you guys think? They look so badass, but that's because none of them are CGI, or some of them are. But
I didn't know all real.
They were on the island. I didn't know this, but Ryan Johnson talks about all the puppeteers that actually made them work. And that scene with Chewbacca, I was like, man, that porg looks hella good. But that's like a straight up puppet that some people are working.
Puppet, but the cool thing is that I expected to hate them because I was like, oh man, you're just doing this to sell toys and
there is a toy.
Take money away from parents.
It's an audio podcast, but they took money away from me. There's a porg sitting in front of Andrew right now.
Quite honestly, I actually wouldn't mind giving my money to get one.
They're cute.
I want like, I mean, this one's cute, this plushy one, but I want like a legit looking like puppet one that they had in the movie.
He's gonna get a penguin and then
and then paint
fuck it up.
And I'm sure since J.J. Abrams, like, he kind of remade A New Hope. In the next one, they're just gonna be adult porgs as the Wookiees.
Oh, disgusting.
Emperor Penguin.
Oh, what if Chewbacca was dating that one porg?
It was like getting him sad.
John, what do you think about the porg?
The Porgs,
I like them a whole lot more.
again,
than I
yeah,
thought they
exactly. Like I didn't expect them to be that funny. It was actually pretty cool. Like they were actually,
Yeah.
they're not in the movie a whole lot. Like they may be a
For
little.
how much they're
It's more of
advertised?
in the background.
There
It's
may
like
be a.
they'll be on the island, and then you see like birds flying, and you hear like the porg sound, and you're like,
Well,
oh.
here's the.
They're obviously toy material. This the Porgs, and we'll get into this later. The Porgs and Captain Phasma are totally toy
Yeah.
material. Like those are
Silver Stormtrooper?
those are just there to make the toys. But I did not hate. I didn't hate the Porgs. The Porgs are actually really funny, especially that scene where Chewie's trying to eat one.
Yeah.
And then they're all just staring at him like with sad faces for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite actual Porg moment was when they're around the lightsaber and they're actually trying to turn it on.
Yeah, and you see one of them's kind of like looking down the scope. It's
The
almost
barrel,
like,
yeah.
yeah, and then the other one's like trying to turn it on,
But I
like
do,
trying to kill it.
I do like that every time there's an establishing shot of that island, you
There's
see a Porg
Porgs.
flying around and you just hear him.
Well, they did that, interestingly enough, because on the island there are
Birds.
thousands of puffins, which look almost exactly like,
Like
porgs,
porgs.
and you can't CGI out puffins because they're flying around the
So
whole
they just
fucking
modify
time.
them into
So
like
they
porgs?
literally just added porgs in, which is a brilliant thing. I mean, you can't. You know, how much money would it take to ADR every scene
Boom.
because you hear them?
2 porgs, 1 stone.
Dang. But my favorite porg scene was when Luke is explaining the Force to Leia. Oh wait, no, to Rey. And the porgs are the tool that lets him. He talks about life, and there's like baby porgs, and then death, and then the fucking nest gets like taken by a. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like part of the whole
violence and
yeah,
just like
Yeah,
and then like
they're
yeah,
part of the whole like.
The circle of life.
They're
baby.
the Force animals. They live on this Jedi planet. I'm sure they
That's
have
true,
some
yeah.
kind of power. But we're gonna take a little bit of a break right now. When we come back, we're gonna play a trivia game. Then we'll go right back into talking about this movie.
Sweet.
Nice.
Push pause.
For me, it's family. It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it. I mean, I go to Comic-Con and stuff like that, and I meet a lot of these people, and it's very powerful for them. You know, they're showing the films to their children and their grandchildren, you know, and they're sharing something that moved them as a child, and so that's really personal. And I've watched a lot of that over the years, and them coming in with babies that have the little Princess Leia outfit on that I always say looks like, you know, they swallowed the little outfit so the baby wouldn't come out nude, and would come out right away into a Star Wars universe. But that's the thing that I think makes it so powerful for a lot of people, is it's just an identifying universe, and it's something that creates a community. So anything that does that does heal people, when you can have that thing in common, and then you can find others. So in a way, I don't know if it saves lives, it probably does, but I know that it improves them.
Sure.
I put A nasty.
Sure, but it's supposed to be fun. I'm just kidding.
My bad.
Look, John and A nasty.
All right, so we are enlisting the help of a website and app called Kahoot to
We need
play the Star Wars The Last Jedi trivia game. So here's how it works. I'm going to read, and you guys can answer very quickly if you want to, but I'm going to read the question and the 4 answers, and only one of them will be correct.
And then we have to answer audibly since this is
Wait,
a
no,
podcast.
say it again. I missed it.
I'm gonna read the question. You guys will play. We'll choose the answer.
Okay.
And you don't have to say it out loud because it'll tell us at the end. I can just say. Who,
Oh, okay, I
who
get
got
you.
it.
Okay,
but this
cool.
is all trivia from Star Wars: The Last Jedi. This will make this quiz available online if you guys want to play it with your friends. It's really fun.
You're gonna know the answers because we just went through it.
That's
But
true.
listen to it. Listen
Play
to
it
it
while
while
you're
you're
listening to it,
playing.
yeah.
Put it in your headphones.
Find some dumb friends. Here's what you do: you find some dumb friends.
Put
you,
your
you
headphones
make
in.
sure you bet them that you know all the answers.
Yeah.
And then
boom.
we'll play. All right, here we go. So here is the first question. Star Wars, are you ready? So what did Mark Hamill tell the director after reading the script the first time? So did he say, "You're lucky I have a contract for 2 more of these"? I'm not sure the audience will agree with you. I fundamentally disagree with every choice you made, or this is nothing like what the audience was expecting. You guys can answer on your phones. And the answer was, I fundamentally disagree with every choice you made. That's something he told Ryan Johnson after reading the script the first time.
And Ryan Johnson's like, you're an actor. You're still going to do it.
And that's what he did. Mark Hamill said, you know what? I'm a professional.
Professional, yeah.
I'm going to do it. Looks like John...
I'm 841
right.
points behind John, it says.
Oh my gosh. All right.
How did you not get that? It's just like that was like common knowledge.
No. Yeah.
Hopefully these aren't common knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it. Now I feel
Which
nerdy.
actor was also considered for the role that Benicio del Toro played? Was it Joaquin Phoenix, Gary Oldman, Jared Leto, or Emily Blunt?
Oh, fuck.
Booyah.
Hey.
That's
It
like
was
common
Joaquin.
knowledge, John.
I didn't know that part.
John,
though.
that's common knowledge.
Not that one
John,
wasn't.
that was so common of knowledge that you're a bitch.
You
Joaquin
like
Phoenix
actors.
was offered the role of DJ. But yeah, Benicio
John
del
chose
Toro
Emily
got it.
Blunt.
I will say
I chose Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman or Jared Leto would be sweet to see in a, and Emily Blunt would be sweet to see.
I
in
legit
a,
thought like Gary Oldman would
They should get the
been offered
dude
the
who
movie.
did Edge of Tomorrow to do one of the Star Wars movies and put Emily Blunt in it.
Oh, I
Doug
thought you were talking
Liman.
about Tom Cruise. I
Doug
was like,
Liman.
what? I don't want Tom Cruise in the Star Wars. All right, here we go. Here's the next question. Oh, actually,
I'm
looks
leading.
like Andrew's leading now.
929 to 84.
Why did you get more points for that? What
You
the
get
fuck?
points on how fast you answer too.
Oh, okay.
And if you get more in a row, you get streak points. This game is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
you get street points.
Benicio del Toro's character is named DJ.
Oh, fuck.
What are those initials short for? Is it Deliver Jedis, Don't Join, Don Juniper, or Destroy Jedi?
I did it, John.
Ooh.
That's common knowledge, John.
Stands for Don't Join. Which
I've only
is,
seen
he said it in the movie.
I've only seen the movie once. Andrew has seen
Yeah.
it twice.
it is the mantra. that
He's
he
making
has.
we've gone to the making excuses part of the whipping your ass in this game.
What if DJ
Just
stood
kidding.
for like disc jockey?
I thought it was because he sounded like a scratch record. To be honest with you.
Because he kept saying,
'Cause
don't
of
join,
stutter?
don't join, don't join.
No.
Don't enjoy it.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, exactly. Drop the bass.
All right. We've gone to the section where we make fun of people with... I'm just kidding.
Damn.
Here. So, man, Andrew's pulling away is almost
1971. Oh my God, the year I was
Question
born.
4. What was the alias production name for The Last Jedi?
Oh,
So a lot of
shit, John's
movies
gonna get
have
this
fake
one.
names. Is it The Dark Star, The Last Island, Red Dirt, or Space Bear?
I think it was this one. Yes.
Boom, you both got it right. Space Bear. As a matter of fact, I think Ryan Johnson tweeted recently.
Thanks from the Space Bear team.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you follow him on Twitter, got a heads up.
The last time.
So sweet. It'd be interesting. We got to look up what the other movies were named.
I almost picked Red
Episode
Dirt.
9 already has
A fake name?
a fake name.
Then
I
what's the
forgot what
point?
it is.
Fake
Yeah.
news.
But sweet. Andrew's still ahead. At 152 minutes, The Last Jedi is the longest Star Wars film.
Oh shit.
What is the second longest?
That's
Is it
easy.
Attack of the Clones, Empire Strikes Back, Force Awakens, or Return of the Jedi?
Wait, what? Oh, I
The
guess
second longest Star Wars film.
that's not what I was expecting. Are you sure you got this one?
Is it
You
Attack
got
of the
these
Clones,
answers
Empire Strikes
right?
Back, Force Awakens, or Return of the Jedi?
I think
It's Attack of the
Oh,
Clones.
gross.
It is the second
Yeah,
longest.
That would have to have been that out of all of those.
I secretly chose the other one just because I was hoping that one wasn't the longest. That's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
It's,
I'm sorry.
it's pretty
for
long,
everybody.
and guess what? We still don't get to see Attack of the Clones.
I
There's
could've
only
sworn
one tiny
that sucks.
clone
Scene for
battle
that, yeah.
at the end.
I could have sworn Revenge of the Sith.
John is coming back. He's only 300 points behind.
I picked The Force Awakens because, yeah. I guess
Most
it
of the
should've
stunt actors in The Last Jedi also
Oh,
work
fuck.
on what TV show? Was it
been.
Westworld, The Walking Dead, Marco Polo, or Game of Thrones? So all the stunt actors worked on TV.
Oh,
Most of
shit.
them. And
I'm
what
gonna
did they
pick-
work
Oh, that's
on?
easy. Yeah, I was about to say that
Game
one.
of Thrones,
I
of
just
course.
picked it because of Captain Phasma.
And also, none of these other shows are close to.
to that, yeah,
I think I would
exactly.
have picked Westworld also.
Westworld
I mean, there's
and-
actual sword fights in
And
Game
Marco
of Thrones.
Polo's very.
True.
Marco Polo's expensive too.
The
They've
Walking
got
Dead
a
is a
lot.
lot of sword fights. Michonne.
One sword fight, and then a guy with a bat.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Wow, you're only 100 points behind, kinda, John. This is the first Star Wars film to have
Sex.
what of these? A flashback, an after-credit scene, a Disney title card, or captions? A flashback.
I think I answered that faster than you.
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
let's see. But yeah, this is the first Star Wars movie to have a flashback.
What?
Did you guys care about that or no? The flashback? Did it
You
kind
just
of
went
take
in-
you
I
out
thought
of
it was
Star
actually
Wars?
pretty. No, not really. Like I thought it was actually pretty
think it-
touching.
Well, and I
thought it
also
was
think it's
touching.
about time.
Yeah.
They made it 9 movies.
They
or,
kind
you
of
know?
cheated. Force Awakens, I think, had a dream sequence or something,
Right.
with Rey, but that wasn't a flashback.
And this one actually
She
had an
touched that
actual
thing and she
flashback.
saw all
Yeah,
that stuff.
that was
going on.
hallucinations, drugs.
Mhm.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
The
John
Force.
is now in first.
Rey's on cocaine. Oh, whoa! John's at first now. Uh-oh.
I don't know how.
Question 8. It took how much time for Daisy Ridley to learn stunts that normally take 3 days training? Did it take her an hour and a half, a week, 2 days, or 10 minutes?
Fuck.
To learn the
I'm gonna
stunts.
say this one. Yes, I did it.
This one was just, I don't know how you would know this. But
Well,
according to the,
I just think she looks athletic.
it only took her an hour and a half, according to her stunt coordinator, to learn something that it took 3 days.
Yeah.
I feel like they may be
to
stretching
me, I
that.
just think it looked like she genuinely enjoyed it. That's why.
Yeah.
Like most people are like, oh, I gotta go to work out.
Yeah.
I just want to eat everything I want. But her, it looked like she again was very proud of what she accomplished in the first one.
And another thing, I think for movies, you're only learning this for the close-ups, because I'm pretty sure they have someone else.
Stunt people like
Yeah,
doing like the
She
big
looks like an
flips and stuff.
overachiever. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
All right, so
Hey,
whoa.
Nasty.
And A Nasty has 3 correct ones in
3
a row.
in a row. A Nasty is back in the
Back
game.
in the
It
game,
says.
according to this game.
Ooh.
Question 9. What does the E in BB9E stand for?
Uh-oh.
Does it stand for evil, envious, extra, or electric?
I think it's. Oh yeah, man! It was the most common. Like it was.
Is it really? God
Yeah.
damn, that's fucking stupid.
It's
for evil.
bitch, 9 evil.
That is dumb.
It
Yeah, I
stands for
know.
evil.
I just
Nothing
thought it was-
extra.
Johnson, you fucked up on that one.
And they sell so many BB9Es, and he's only in the movie for.
There were like 30 seconds. He
30
doesn't even have a showdown with BB.
No, you thought
I
there
feel
would
like
have balls
There could be a deleted scene
where they're
two
just
balls like
two
clicking
balls
together.
clacking
It's
together.
like, oh man, this happens every time I do jumping jacks.
All right.
Hey,
Oh,
Nasty,
man.
running
Andrew
away
is
with it.
pulling away his
Oh
fourth
man,
right
this is
answer.
Hey Nasty's hot.
But there's still time. This is the first Star Wars film to not have
Porgs.
midichlorians, a lightsaber battle, Jawas, or sand.
What the fuck?
This movie does not have midichlorians, a lightsaber battle, Jawas,
I don't know, I
or
guess.
sand.
I'm gonna say Jawas.
God damn it.
We both got it wrong.
You both got it wrong. It doesn't actually have a lightsaber battle.
That's not
between
true.
two people.
Okay,
Oh,
I
you're right.
get
Yeah, I
it.
guess so. Yeah, you're right.
There
Totally
is
right.
a.
But I was
I
like,
should have
there's a-
clarified that. But yeah, the only time two lightsabers touch
They should have
is
said a
during
lightsaber.
the flashback.
They should have
Yeah,
said a
during the flashback.
lightsaber duel and not lightsaber battle because the lightsaber is used in battle
Oh my
in
gosh!
this movie.
All right, let me go back in. You know what? I can't give anyone points.
Give me points.
I'm just gonna end the game. All right.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
kidding.
I won.
Hey,
Nasty.
All right. What Star Wars Episode 4 lore is explained in this movie? Is it Jedi books, Luke's lightsaber, green milk, or light speed?
Did they really call it green milk?
I mean,
it's called blue milk.
It's milk. It's different colored milk.
It's alien milk that.
It's alien
You think
milk.
there's chocolate green milk?
Have you seen like
It's supposed to be blue milk.
Luke's
bro. Let's
face
get it
whenever
right.
he sucks on that milk in that scene is
He's like,
very
it's
weird.
alcoholic a little bit. It's more of an eggnog.
And I
than
love
spiked.
how that alien looks at Rey like, you want some? And she looks away.
Sucking on my titties like you wanted me, calling me all the time.
Oh shit.
All right, here we go.
We're talking about the blue
Which
milk.
celebrities did not cameo in the film?
Here we go.
Not cameo. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. We already spoiled that. Tom Hardy, Edgar Wright, and Gareth Edwards, or Prince Harry and William.
What? Oh, they cut it out. Fuck.
Yeah, they did.
Fuck me sideways.
All these people did. They did film cameos, but yeah, they cut out Prince Harry and William.
Who was Tom Hardy? Was he Bane in the background?
Yeah.
Oh, sir.
Master
he was the
Skywalker.
one super ripped guy in the back
Damn.
for no reason.
I thought Tom Hardy was in the first one. That's why I thought it was a trick question.
Are just 1,100 points behind, John. There's still time for the. I think
We
we've
still
got
got
a couple
time.
more. In early versions of the script, Luke Skywalker was
A girl.
a dead, blind, evil, or hangry.
Oh man, I almost want to put
In
hangry.
early versions of the script, Luke Skywalker was dead, blind,
Hangry?
evil, or hangry.
He was probably that last
He's
one.
always hangry.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck, I don't know this one. Oh my
You
god.
have a
I
25%
don't know.
chance of getting it right.
Yeah, I was gonna put hangry, but I think that's not it.
Let's pick evil.
Shut up.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Blind. Yeah, you both got it right. He was blind in one of the earlier drafts,
Yeah, but,
but they changed it after Rogue One. Do you guys know why?
because of Chirrut.
Yeah, there's already a blind
That's
Force
why I
person.
could have swore that it wasn't the answer, and I was gonna put evil. But
yeah.
that's why I was kind of torn.
Gareth got it first.
Yeah.
Well,
Although
I didn't get that many points.
Ryan
for that
Johnson was
because
like,
I waited
fuck
for
you,
the last-
Gareth.
Yeah. Let's look at the points. Ooh, my gosh, neck and neck. John is making a comeback, 3 in a row.
Because I waited to the last second to.
I think it comes down to the next two questions. Which character utters the famous line, "I have a bad feeling about this"?
Oh, fuck.
Was it Luke Skywalker, C-3PO, Finn, or BB-8?
What the fuck?
I have a bad feeling about this. It happens in every Star Wars movie.
Oh, man, I accidentally answered wrong.
And someone said it in this movie.
Yes, I got it.
It's BB-8.
How the fuck does he say it, though?
I don't know, but Ryan Johnson said so, and I think he may have just forgot to shoot.
Yeah, to put the subtitles in it.
So he's like, oh, crap, you know what? He said it.
That's a trick question for sure. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was
It
a trick
is.
question.
Yeah.
John, oh my gosh, John is now in the lead.
The last
It comes
fucking
down to this last
question.
one.
Yeah, I know.
600 points betwixt them. This is a good game.
It is a good game.
Here we go. Last question. Star Wars characters Slow and Low and Elo Nasty are references to songs by who? Kind of ruined that one. There are two characters in the movie, Slow and Low and Elo Asti. They're references to songs by who?
Yeah, I guess. So that was,
Yeah, I
I
was
had no
like,
clue.
no, I mean, Hello Nasty is a Beastie Boys
Boys.
song.
I did not know. Yeah, I didn't know any of those.
Hello Nasty?
No,
By the
yeah,
Beastie Boys?
no, I don't know.
So
any of
J.J.
those.
Abrams is a fan of the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, I just thought it would have been more of a classic because I thought every other answer was like man, why would you put a reference of those people in?
Yeah,
Star Wars?
Abrams loves the Beastie Boys. Remember Star
really?
Trek?
Yeah, no, I would have like if that was a life or death question, I would have done for sure.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt actually voices one of these guys in
Crazy.
the new movies. Yeah, he's one of the pilots.
Elo
But that's
Asti.
it. It's over. John, wow.
Fuck yeah.
Coming out of the rear. Got 10
Yeah.
of the 15 questions
he
right.
He beat me one more question.
Andrew
than
got
me
9
knows.
of the 15 questions right. But
That's crazy.
awesome, guys. You guys win absolutely fucking nothing.
They fucking just told me my network was slow.
Oh my gosh. But that was the trivia game. I hope you guys learned a little bit of something. We're going to take a little break. And during this break, you guys will actually hear from Ryan Johnson, because we forgot to play it earlier ahead, the director of this film, about what he liked about this movie and what his thoughts were.
I didn't write these questions, so some of them I have to read verbatim.
Hit me.
So, what were your thoughts and reactions when you were first offered The Last Jedi?
I mean, if any Star Wars fan out there imagines what their reaction would be if they were asked to direct the next one, that's how I felt. It felt like it came out of nowhere. I didn't see it coming. It's so unexpected, and I felt like, a planet blew up in my head.
As a writer, how did you approach crafting the story, and what were the elements that were most important for you to put in?
Well, I know this is the second chapter after The Force Awakens, so Force Awakens created these amazing, vibrant new characters. It was the job of this movie then to pick them up and really kind of test their mettle, put them through their paces. So I tried to just kind of figure out, really get inside the head of each of the characters and figure out, okay, where did they go next? And that ended up leading to some really unexpected places. And then Luke Skywalker is the other big ingredient in this movie. I knew we had to figure out what's the deal with Luke.
It's with the Force Awakens introducing new cast members. You now in this film have 3 different iterations of cast members from the original trilogy to the ones introduced in Force Awakens, and there's new. Tell us about the experience of working with that multi-level cast.
It's interesting how there's always kind of a correlation between what's happening on screen and what's happening in real life. So to be on set and to have Mark and Carrie, who obviously go all the way at the beginning with these films, and then to have Daisy and Adam and John and Oscar and everyone who was in The Force Awakens, and then to have Kelly Marie Tran and Laura Dern and Benicio del Toro, who this is their first Star Wars outing. And I was with them. I was the new kid. So to have that multi-layered kind of generational thing, I don't know, it felt right.
And I've heard that sets are more massive in this production, and it obviously takes a balance between special effects and the practical, detailed, amazing sets that you're working with. How does that balance come about, and how do you have to work with that? Yeah,
we had a huge amount of practical sets for this film, and part of the lived-in feel of Star Wars is something we really wanted to capture. At the same time, the other part of Star Wars is constantly pushing the envelope in terms of cutting-edge special effects. So the handoff between the practical and what ILM brings to the table visually, where those two meet, has always been kind of where these movies live.
And the final question is, what do you expect audiences will take away when they walk out of the theater?
I hope audiences come out of the theater wanting to run into their backyard, grab their Star Wars toys, and start flying spaceships around. I hope it just feels like a great Star Wars movie, a fun Star Wars movie that takes you back to being 10 years old again.
Oh, and we're back, baby.
Thank you, Ryan Johnson.
Thank you for being here with us.
Now you can leave.
Yeah, get out of here. Don't say anything else. Just leave, please. Okay, we're done with you. Stop hopping on one foot. Stop playing our hopscotch out.
And get the fuck out.
Yeah. So we talked about this movie. We're going to give it our final thoughts at the end. But where do you think this Star Wars goes? What do you think J.J. Abrams does with the movie that he inherited, which has no Snoke? Some characters that he introduced in the movie are gone. So he's like, oh, shit, what do I do now?
Actually,
what do you think?
I want to see his reaction of actually because he said he read the script, back when he finished The Force Awakens.
And he agreed, right?
And he agreed to it. And he's the EP for this movie. So, he read the script for The Last Jedi and he was like, this is so good, I wish I was directing it. And so I'm pretty sure, he was excited about it. I think, when he actually saw the movie being made, I'm pretty sure he was probably, because he wasn't supposed to direct Episode 9. Rest
in peace, Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow of Jurassic World infamy was supposed to direct Episode 9, and whenever I'm actually that's a loss of words, but I'm pretty sure everybody, Colin Trevorrow and J.J. Abrams included, whenever they saw this shit, they're probably thinking what the fuck,
they
goddamn.
offered Ryan Johnson to make the
third one,
the third one too, but he said, I don't have time.
Exactly.
I would have to start tomorrow.
Yeah, you have to start. I'm just going to start on another Star Wars trilogy instead.
It's way easier.
Yeah. I don't know. I think John Abrams. This is the coolest part about talking about the movie is that I literally don't know where it's going to go next.
And that's awesome because isn't
this forces Abrams to be new. Abrams is the dude who literally brings back your nostalgia for a lot of shit. I mean, you've seen the Star Trek stuff he's made, the Force Awakens, which is the almost the height of the nostalgia. Late 2000s nostalgia movement that we've been getting, with Jurassic World and
remakes of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Reboots,
and then
remakes, reboots.
And,
the invention of this podcast.
The Force Awakens was basically that the height of that era, and it forces Abrams to do something new. Now, do I have a lot of faith in him the way I did Ryan Johnson? No, but now that the pieces have been set, I feel like Abrams probably can do a good job of doing something.
You get set up for a home run, knock it out of the fucking park, and don't give me Return of the Jedi.
And he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, technically now he can, yeah.
There's nothing in this movie that forces him to do anything. They didn't find plans to new Death Star. They didn't, there's not something that he has to include because he can do whatever he
Right, exactly. Yeah, they didn't leave off on a cliffhanger like the way the Force Awakens did. So he's literally free to do whatever he wants, and I think that's the most exciting aspect going forward. Is
get some lens flare, baby.
Lens. Oh shit! I mean, I was we're just thinking about that.
I hope Snoke comes back as a Force ghost.
Wouldn't
that be an interesting?
Can Sith do that?
I'm sure they can.
Anakin did, but
but he was a Jedi at the end.
Okay.
Died a Jedi.
I feel like.
Do
feel like Luke might come back.
Luke
as a
is
Force,
I think he's
ghost.
for sure gonna come back as a Force ghost. Most definitely.
Sure. You can have someone who's not in any of the old Star Wars.
Quite frankly, I expected some other Force ghosts to pop out in this one. I thought Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, an older Ewan McGregor would have been
Hayden
dope.
Christensen or something like that.
Oh God, no! Please don't.
That dude's 20 pounds fatter now.
He's too busy jumpering.
Yeah, exactly. He's working on the.
You guys remember that movie?
No. It's interesting again to see what he's gonna do. I don't know if he's gonna follow the line that Ryan Johnson drew for us, or if he's just gonna go back and think, we need the Ewoks. We're gonna bring back the Ewoks or something.
We were thinking what if he he keeps it up with he keeps in line with what The Last Jedi is doing and actually just subverts it even further. Imagine the third movie ending on a down note, almost ending on an Empire Strikes Back type of down note. And then you literally, that's the conclusion of the Skywalker trilogy. And that's all you have until the inevitable episode 10, a couple of years later and stuff like that. That would be awesome. Imagine that. That's pretty cool. A dark close to the entire...
I think what you'll see is the stakes will be higher. And that's the crappy thing about a space movie is the stakes are a Death Star or something, that
has to blow up
changes-
something like on
that
a massive
physically
scale.
changes
And-
the landscape.
That's the cool thing about Ryan Johnson getting rid of the leadership now is that it's not for just something like to save planets. It's more of like no, like this is for the first order
Yeah.
and for the resistance. Like these groups are so small now, and whoever wins takes over both, or wins the war, essentially wins the Star War.
I think it can be very dark. I think right now in the state Kylo Ren is, he may not even care about power because he really doesn't, and I think he'll just be destroying anything and everything. He'll be just destroying, killing people, and just getting rid of everything.
Instead of
not for political reasons, just
a death galaxy, or
just to kill
death
everyone.
Solar system.
Death Quasar.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's I think the stakes are going to be high. So it's going to be something like that, something that's really crazy, where either he's just killing everyone. I think they're going to hopefully avoid a super weapon. I don't think we'll see a super weapon.
I hope not, but J.J. Abrams does not have the most. I don't have
You
the
hope
most
not
faith.
they avoid it, or
I hope they
you hope
avoid
oh,
that
okay.
they land a huger Death Star.
Yeah, but I don't think they will. I think they'll have something just darker in theme. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good end to whatever this saga would be called, whether it's just peacetime or it's just temporary peace before the next Star Wars, or someone
Yeah.
finds Darth Vader's mask or Kylo
Yeah.
Ren's mask. or
Another
something.
trade embargo fucking dispute or something.
Bring it
or
back to the Senate, baby.
The taxes are too high in the galaxy.
I'm actually hoping, like, after the next Abrams flick, after this main Skywalker saga comes to a close, because according to Kathleen Kennedy, like, that this next movie is supposed to tie all three trilogies together.
Jesus.
So, like,
It's the Infinity War of Star Wars. So
What?
everybody's gonna be. in it.
They can combine it with Infinity Wars now if they wanted to.
I really
with
would hope
X-Men,
not to.
with Fantastic Four.
Woo! With
Ric Flair.
Inside
Woo!
Out.
But the thing is, like, I really do hope that Ryan Johnson's new trilogy that's coming off of it, that's obviously is coming off of this film because, they had such a great time working with him and stuff like that, and they obviously meshed really well. Regardless of what fanboys think about this movie, like, I think that Ryan Johnson was made for, like, this franchise. I don't know if he should direct all three of those movies, because I kind of want to see more Ryan Johnson stuff than
Star
I do
Wars?
want to see Star Wars stuff. But I really do hope his trilogy is episode 10, 11, and 12. Like, I really hope that's an actual new beginning
And
from
then
that
the
one.
3 spin-offs that take
Yeah, see,
place
I don't
between
exactly.
the
I don't
episodes.
want. It's not that I don't want spin-offs, because the spin-offs are pretty cool, sort of. I guess.
What
I
if
mean,
he was like,
Rogue One
"Boom,
was
you're doing
awesome.
Obi-Wan.
1 year later, I guess
that'd be
let's go ahead and
crazy.
reflect on the spin-offs now that are coming out.
Yeah.
So 1 year later, we have Rogue One already here. I don't
Han
have
Solo.
I don't
soon.
have a big interest to watch Rogue One multiple times anymore.
To
Like,
watch Rogue 2.
You know what I think is smart with Disney is having a Han Solo movie and having these prequels
in
are,
between and
are
stuff,
just
yeah.
catering directly to the
hardcore fans.
The people who probably dislike this movie.
Yeah.
It's sort of the main trilogy
Here's
now.
some familiar stuff.
Yeah, the main trilogy is like, here, we're gonna push the envelope, and if you want to stick around to be a fan, then fine.
Yeah.
But we're gonna find 100 million more people
Right.
Yeah,
who
and
are
they'll
gonna
give
enjoy
you-
this movie.
They'll give you Obi-Wan, and they'll give you Boba Fett,
Yeah,
and
and
they'll
like,
give
hey,
you Yoda.
wait
and
next
they'll
year.
give you...
We can do whatever crazy ass little thing about who shot first.
Well, I mean, there could be 10 movies on Yoda alone. Yoda's been teaching
forever.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been married
for centuries.
he's been married 12 times or something bonkers.
Yeah,
He had a
exactly.
pink wife. I remember that in a comic book. So yeah, I think that's what's really smart with Disney is there's plenty of nostalgia still with these little
With the spin-off stuff,
in-betweeners.
yeah.
Even Rogue One, which isn't a huge amount of build up, but ended up being really nostalgic, especially with the appearance of Darth Vader.
And it was pretty new. I mean, Rogue One, I would still probably rate Rogue One over Force Awakens as far as like how fresh it feels.
Yeah,
sort of. I mean,
and it
even though
really
it's
is just
very-
a hint towards this movie.
It is, yeah, exactly. I mean, this movie obviously blows those two movies out of the water.
Hey, you want to see? We just watched a movie where every main character died.
Yeah, and
you want to
so,
see
like,
something cool?
That's pretty cool. I'm not sure exactly who asked for that Han Solo movie that's coming out next year, but whatever. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we
And
get
that
to it.
sucks because that's the Justice League syndrome that's happening on there, which is the directors.
Two different directors, yeah.
Yeah, 3 different directors, right?
Yeah, but it's Ron Howard. They didn't get
Yeah, but
Sunday,
it's what's his
Wednesday,
name
happy
from
days.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, someone Opie from Happy Days.
They should have hired the Fonz. He would have made a much cooler movie.
But the fact is, like, that movie was created because of the pitch from Phil Lord and Chris Miller. That's my point.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so weird. And also, I have a little bit more of a protective stance with Han Solo than I do with Indiana Jones. Like, I feel like Harrison Ford is Han Solo, and he should only play Han Solo. Indiana Jones, I mean, I feel like as an American James Bond, you can recast him. Like, why don't you have a Chris Pratt be Indiana Jones or something, or like a John Krasinski or something, like later on the line. Like that to me isn't as sacred as Han Solo is. Like, Harrison Ford is Han Solo, so I guess we'll have to see it like a trailer or something like that. But that's the only weird thing to me. It was like very unwanted part in the Star Wars.
Yeah,
saga.
they have to have someone who has the same amount of charisma.
And maybe they did.
Harrison
Maybe they got
Ford.
it. Who
I don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah.
All right. No idea who he is.
He was in one Coen Brothers movie, and that's it.
I'm really excited to see Donald Glover as Lando, though.
Yeah, I am excited to see stuff like that.
Oh, Lando. You think he'll be in the next?
They can make a spin-off of Lando if this one does well enough, and they're like, Donald Glover, you knocked it out of the fucking park.
Yeah.
You get your own solo movie.
Well, doesn't the Casino Planet seem like a Cloud City kind of vibe? Where
I'm
they're
not gonna
like,
lie, I
care
thought
about...
that's who they were going to. I was like,
Okay.
Master Codebreaker. Oh man, ex-general of the
Here
fucking
comes Lando
Yeah,
Calrissian.
exactly. Smooth talking
Hey,
motherfucker.
baby.
Yeah, exactly. But and it's cool because you texted us this morning with that, like in Rogue One they had planted hints that they were tracking, that hyperspace tracking.
Yeah.
And
No one,
I think
no one probably caught
Look
that
at this
all.
file. Whatever. Throw it
yeah,
away.
I know. Stupid Jen should have blown up both fucking things.
Both
Planned
files.
for the Death Star and hyperspace tracking. Who knows how many other fucking terrifying plans she passed up. But anyway, I think that's what's cool is that they're subtly planting their little seeds for like future movies. So in this one, you get him grabbing the dice. Those golden dice that he gives to Leia from the Millennium
Which is like
Falcon,
the first time I've ever seen him ever.
have always been there. They said it's only noticeable in one shot from the original trilogy, but they've always been there. They've always been in like the background.
Yeah.
And they said they were pivotal in Han Solo's win on Lando to get the Falcon.
Dang. So that's going to be in the
exactly
plot
Solo
point.
movie.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
that's why those dice are so special because Leia's like, oh man, this is where God had his ride.
And don't you think there's also something they keep teasing that the girl Lupita Nyong'o plays?
Yeah, Maz.
Maz Kanata. Oh, I forgot about her. Shit.
She has
she
that
didn't
badass...
even need to be in this movie.
No, she
But
did.
I'm like, why are they?
But why do
shooting
I want the movie on what
what's
she was
going on
through?
here? Yeah, like what's?
She's having a dogfight. She's battling. Like she's shooting,
What did
blasting
she
and stuff.
say? She say it's a.
It's a dispute between people.
No. She said it's a union. She's like,
a union dispute. Yeah.
Is she straight like Boba Fetting everything up, bro?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's you're right. They are masters at this. I mean, they invented the after credit scene they didn't invent it, but they perfected it with their Marvel. Marvel was just a test for these Star Wars movies, really. And now they own 20th Century Fox. But yeah, I think there's really great things ahead. And the other cool thing about this movie is this is their tentpole movie. And this is telling every great filmmaker that a Star Wars movie isn't selling out. Like we can give you this huge IP like Star Wars
and still make a good movie out of it. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people have this idea that, if I make a Marvel movie or a Disney movie, that it's over. I can't do what I want to do. Partially because they fired directors before.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But I think this movie pushes that that notion kind of further back to
I don't know about
Here we
that.
go. They need to get what's his name?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, exactly. To do a Star Wars movie.
He already said he wouldn't do a main one.
Yeah,
He
I
would
know,
do a
but they
spin-off.
should though.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe bring good
You know
old
what?
George back.
Money
Gotta
talks.
get George
I just
Lucas
feel
back,
like-
baby.
I feel like you should get George Lucas back for a spin-off only. That would be really cool to just have him like, fuck it. do
I think he's
Lando.
so far removed and bitter about it. I don't think he'll ever do it
Yeah,
again.
oh, I know, but I meant fuck him. I'm just
Whatever.
kidding.
Fuck it.
I don't know about that
do
though.
life.
Like that, what you just said about this shows because I think it does show that they can be that. I still think it's very selective when it comes to the person who's making the movie.
Yeah.
Like they either have to be willing to play ball or they're not.
Oh, you have to be
Yeah.
Ron Howard.
Because well, the thing is you need to know how to work within the studio system. And I'm not saying that Edgar Wright or people like that or people who got fired off of films don't know how to work within the system. But there are some people more than others, like James Gunn, who complains about like compromise and stuff like that, but he's still able to deliver a good product. Same thing goes for Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson is obviously, I mean, yeah, he got complete freedom and everything like that, but we don't know. I mean, he's just saying that he could be just saying that to save face. So, like maybe he just knew
he
how
cries
to,
on the inside every day.
Yeah, exactly.
He signed a contract to say that.
Maybe he just knew how to play ball. In other words,
well, his original cut was way longer in this movie, so some stuff got.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to see the 3.5 hour long Ryan Johnson.
But I can totally understand like people like Edgar Wright who literally want every single piece of control, like on their hands, that it just won't be a good fit for them. And it's not that they wouldn't make a good Star Wars movie. It's just like you need
it's easier to make something else.
Like, I'm not trying to just direct this movie. I'm trying to be the director, the editor.
Exactly. I think that's why people flock away from it. It's just like it's easier to make something else because like if you're just making a corporate product at the end of the day, then you
think about it. Who do you think would make a good Star Wars movie?
I just said two people. That dude from Edge of Tomorrow,
Doug Liman.
Yeah, exactly. That dude.
Brett
Ratner. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Oh
Too
no.
soon. Too soon.
Oh boy.
And Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Villeneuve.
Yeah, and I still think George Lucas could make a really cool spin-off. Don't know him do any of the main trilogy.
I think if he asked, they would have to.
Yeah,
I think if he said, you know what, hey, let me make
like
one.
that would be big. Like
no.
I think that could get a big turnout just on word of mouth alone.
Oh yeah, get those nostalgia people back.
Yeah,
I think a good swan song. Not that like saying that I want Steven Spielberg to end his career on a Star Wars movie, but I feel like he would
should,
make a good one. Yeah.
He wanted to for so long.
That'd be cool.
And then it got too big beyond him, and he's just like.
I mean,
no,
Ron Howard is someone who I thought would never make a Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
movie.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, same thing. I was like, so I think Star Wars is built more towards. I mean, Ryan Johnson and Gareth Edwards aside, I think Star Wars is maybe built towards more of those classic directors, and I feel like J.J. Abrams does fall into that because he's been.
I need
Robert
Robert Zemeckis to get his hands all up in this fucking shit.
A 3D Forrest Gump type.
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
PTA,
like
Paul Thomas Anderson. Like
oh god.
Existential Star Wars
David
movie.
Fincher, get your ass in here.
I don't know about David Fincher.
No, but I would
Ben
actually
Affleck,
like.
best director ever.
I'd like to see actually Edgar Wright do it. That's a good point. An Edgar Wright spin-off movie, like the right one, would be.
That's
would
why
be
spin-offs I think are safe. If it's a Rogue One spin-off, not like a Han Solo beloved character spin-off,
like a Boba Fett one. Or
yeah, if
something,
it's a side story, I think like Catherine Bigelow would do a great.
Oh yeah, Catherine Bigelow.
Kind of stormtrooper focused type thing. I don't know,
Toro.
the Wayans Bros.
Del Toro can do a really weird creature feature.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be sick.
Can you imagine a Guillermo del Toro all alien, no human cast,
like a Star Wars horror movie? Imagine that. Like that would be awesome.
Movie?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. See, damn, and that's what this movie sets up.
Yeah, that's true. That's
it's
totally
trying
true.
to get you used to the different because we're about to go different. After this trilogy,
it's a big galaxy. Like there's lots of shit that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get into some other shit that we've never seen before.
I want to get into some weird shit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna make some weird shit.
Yeah. So we're about to do our final thoughts, but I'm gonna read some user reviews from some people. I'm not going to read their names. Should I read their names? No, I'm not going to put them on blast. Maybe I will.
Not really.
I'll do first names.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Social security numbers.
Okay, I got it. Social
We're going to bash them, but just don't.
548-621-8730. Can you please reply now? They say 9 out of 10. The only reason it didn't get a 10 is because I felt the laughs in the movie, although funny, takes away from some of the more serious moments. Just a little too Disney for my taste of Star Wars.
Hold that thought. We didn't talk. We didn't talk about. Did we talk about the humor?
These people are bringing up topics we normally didn't bring up. Yeah, no, we didn't talk about humor as much. I think I talked about initially how it was funny and yet really dark. But I think that's why I brought up earlier how Han Solo or C-3PO, you had characters who you knew were going to be the laugh in the older movies. And in this movie, it comes from everyone.
Yeah.
Freaking Luke Skywalker shoves dust off of his shoulder during his Force hologram fight.
That was straight badass, though.
You have a Kylo Ren screaming to shoot, and then having General Hux screaming in the exact not in the exact same manner, but in a more intense manner. Yeah, he repeats it,
and then Kylo Ren kind of gives him that look, like
which is really Some of the humor,
his violence is funny, like when he blows up the elevator, or when he throws Hux inside the thing.
Yeah, and then the guy's like, "Right away, my lord." He's like, "Well, have it done."
Well, but
it was a little jarring. It's just a little jarring.
But that's the way every movie is. And then you have a movie like Batman vs Superman with no comedy, and then people complain.
Yeah,
you need to have comedic. It's almost like a love interest where it's like a given. You need to have some comedic elements in the movie, or else people are gonna freak.
I get that. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm not used to laughing really loud during a Star Wars movie, and like I was actually laughing out loud
I bet
during a
you
Star
that
Wars
wasn't
movie.
even mostly Ryan Johnson either. Because man, in Looper, how many laughs are there in Looper?
Yeah,
Not
I'm
very
sure they're
many.
having fun, right? Like it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Another comment someone had: too much dialogue, and I wrote not enough porg. I'd like to throw it over my shoulder like Luke. What? Oh,
Yeah, the lightsaber.
they want to throw this movie over their shoulder. Okay. Someone wrote a list. Why didn't Princess Leia die? How did Rey escape after Snoke got murdered by Kylo? I didn't know Jedis could astral project themselves, but that it would kill them. Why didn't Chewbacca just eat that porg? If Kylo is so evil, why didn't he blow up his mom when he had the chance? Did that little boy at the end really have the Force? That is interesting. The one I didn't know Jedis could astral project, but that it would kill them. Oh yeah, because is that how Luke dies? He uses all his powers and then becomes one.
He was withdrawn from the Force, and then he did something that no Jedi's ever done ever.
Someone wrote,
just gave him a heart attack.
Someone wrote, meh, cloth was better, which I agree, 100%.
Nice.
It was hot garbage. Poe Dameron, though. I thought Rey and Finn were gonna bang, but with Rose in the mix. I wonder if Rey will use her powers for the dark side.
That was a good one.
Wow, that's
funny.
Pretty hot. Do you think Kylo was... Oh, this is a good one. Do you think Kylo was lying about Rey's parents, or do you think she's another Skywalker?
I hope he wasn't lying about Rey's parents.
I also agree. I hope they keep everything.
Someone put, I'm hoping she's a Dameron, but that would be too coincidental. This is a whole galaxy.
Yeah, I don't see the need to try to link everything to something that's happened before. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, and then it makes it a lot less personal, a lot more cheesy if you link it to, like, if Rey really is the fucking daughter of like Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. Like, man, like that. I mean, that's too easy. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. Most of these reviews sound pretty dumb though. Everybody's just saying didn't like it, and no one's giving reasons as to why.
Here's the last one I read. This one's mad too. It said, I hated it. I was so very disappointed. The whole comedic routine made it apparent that it was no longer a George Lucas film. They always try to modernize things, and I feel like they are trying to reach a younger audience and grasp their attention. It took away from the personification of Star Wars. It wasn't funny in the hand way, but just bad. At some point, I even expected them to come out with using ridiculous words like fleek. Then don't even get me started with the way Yoda talked. Since when does he speak normally? Interesting.
That dude.
But yeah, these are just some of the thoughts that people have, and it's fairly decisive. I do think it was
divisive or
divisive. Decisive. It was decisively good.
It's decisively divided.
It is. It's a pretty divisive movie, but I think it's just kind of the predecessors kind of train the audience.
Yeah, the audience to it
for something, and then hiring Ryan Johnson.
That guy who wrote the last review that you just read must have been someone who watched like Return of the Jedi or something in theaters.
It must have been a girl who loves the prequels.
Maybe.
Which the prequels are bad movies, so surprise.
Let's go into our final thoughts of this movie. But yeah, what were your final thoughts of Star Wars: The Last Jedi? We've been talking for like almost 2 hours.
The movie. I'm gonna go ahead and go first. The movie was better than the title that it actually did. It was named after The Last Jedi. I thought, remember when I first heard that, and I was like, really, The Last Jedi? Like, God damn it. But watching the movie, you actually do get that,
that vibe.
Yeah, you do get that vibe, and then the theme is actually, hammered in. I love the shit out of it. This is probably my favorite Star Wars movie since The Empire Strikes Back. I still feel like, the original 3 movies are still untouchable. Like, this doesn't compare to it. But as far as like, the framing, the damn acting, everyone says like the acting was bad, or the people who don't like it were saying like performances are bad. I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about because everything was top notch in this flick. The pacing may be a little bit weird, like I think we touched upon that a little bit. My non-favorite stuff, like, I'd still have, gripes with the movie. The Canto Bright sequence, the casino sequence could have been a little shorter. Like I said, I was
kind of, it was a sequence. You were like, man, this is a set piece.
Yeah, definitely. I just think like, it was a little like, at that point, that's probably the only point where I thought it was dragging. Like, I'm just like, all right, we need to get to the next like part.
They had to free the pod racing.
Yeah, the pod racing horses that like that.
It was
that
the little
just-
PETA thing. This is for you,
Yeah.
PETA.
There was that during that scene. There were so many politicals. They had
Animal rights.
a PETA thing. They had a warmongering thing. where
warmongering
like, hey,
thing, yeah.
everyone profits, winking at the camera and being like Trump, 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 Trump.
Yeah.
And then Admiral Holdo. I guess I need to watch this movie a second time just so I can actually make up my mind. But Admiral Holdo, I still feel like should have been combined with another character. Maybe her arc just could have been just condensed just a bit. But overall, man, this movie is just like was mind blowing. I think I had the same effect walking out of this movie. I had the same effect as Mad Max or like Blade Runner 2049, where it's just like you're on a high and you just can't wait to watch it again. And I feel like I literally can't wait to watch it again. I'm considering going tomorrow. Well, this podcast I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but I'm considering going tomorrow or very soon to watch it again.
So find him. John's gonna be at the theater. What's your address?
It's just gonna be, it's just going, and it's just a great
Draft
movie.
House Park North. You'll be there 7.
It obviously sets up the future, and which is what and it shakes up the franchise which is what the franchise really needs. And I'm saying this as a person who's loved Star Wars since he was a kid. I've followed. I used to subscribe to the what was that, Jedi Club or something like that? It was some sort of like Jedi Club that you
It
can
was a
actually
Bill Cosby
mail.
Club. He thought it was the Jedi Club.
No, but they sent
Bill
you like a
Cosby got him.
magazine, and
He
they
was
sent you like
asleep the whole time.
That was Brian Singer.
the Star Wars fan club or something like that. Like I was actually a member
Yeah.
of that, and they would send
And
you like a
Harvey
magazine
Weinstein.
and stuff like that, and then like actual a little ID card, like you're an actual Jedi and stuff like that. And I remember doing that, around the times when the prequels first came out, like in Episode 9 and stuff. And so I've this franchise is very dear to me as a fan and also as a potential filmmaker. And so I mean I just cannot wait for the next one. It's just it's a great movie.
It's gonna be good.
So, one of my earliest memories in life, in general, as a kid, was sitting down and watching the original trilogy with my dad. John says all our family was there, but I only remember my dad just because, again, it was like I was like 4, so I guess I only remembered what was in my vicinity, and I happened to be sitting next to my dad watching this. At the time, I was like, "Shut up, Leonard Maltin! Get off this interview so that I can watch this cool movie." And then when I ended up watching Star Wars, fell in love with it, and it's been I'm sure like almost 2 decades since that. 2 decades, yeah. So 20 years for me.
He bought it in '95.
Yeah, exactly. So that's more than 2 decades. That's 22 years. So I grew up, and I remember one of my that's probably not my first cinematic experience, but one of the most memorable cinematic experiences coming out of Episode 1. As a kid too, and we went to Toys R Us and bought all the lightsabers and the gowns and the robes.
We bought Jedi robes that day. Remember?
John
Yeah.
was Qui-Gon and I was Obi-Wan, and we're like,
You guys
oh,
wear
sweet.
dresses.
Yeah.
We bought robes literally right after that movie. I remember
and,
that.
I associate that with one of the first times I met like my future brother-in-law, who's my brother-in-law now, who just beat my ass in fantasy football. Just FYI. But anyway, so I hold this franchise near and dear to me, and I probably know a little more in the Star Wars lure now that they've erased everything that they've done in the past, and Marvel's taken over, and me working at a comic shop and playing some of the video games, and John watches some of the cartoons. So you're kind of not everybody gets or is about all that stuff, and they say they're fans and they only watch the movies, and that's cool. But again, I think it fits, and it's gonna with time will become more of a favorite. I think people just need time to cool off about what happened, and I think once they see the next one, it's like again more of the short-term thinking, where like in the next one it could make this movie way better than it already is with what they do next. But I think it plants the seeds for the future of the Star Wars franchise. So that way we can get into the different stuff that's not connected to the Skywalkers anymore. And we have to, I guess, kind of learn to say goodbye to certain things, and certain characters, because they're not all like Yoda that get to live, thousands of years. But
that goes for everything too. Like this movie's teaching us life lessons.
Yeah.
Just in general,
it's close. And I mean, bravo on all the cast and all the set design and makeup and computer animation, cinematography, directing, the writing. Everything that everybody poured into this movie, I think, will start to show. And I hope no one's. It sucks because I can only imagine what they feel like reading half of this bad stuff, thinking that they made a bad movie, when that's the exact opposite of what happened. And The Force Awakens 2 years ago was not on my top movies of, what was it, 2015. This movie will make my top movies of 2017, though, because of
It's a good year.
Yeah,
a good year to
exactly.
be
And it started off crazy good with lots of really, really good movies. I mean, well, the first two movies that I saw, I think this year, were Trainspotting 2 and Get Out 2, of the most critically successful movies of the year. And but yeah, I mean, this is right up there with. Again, it's just one of those things where, like, it's crazy. You get night and day with, like, these blockbusters where, like, Justice League, all for the money, and this one, it's more of like they did. Like, you could still make a good movie. It's like what you said. You could still make a good movie in these big franchises and not just have to conform to what the status quo or the outline of these original movies or the movies that came before it are.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as people disagree with it, this movie is one of the highest grossing movies ever.
Yeah.
Already. But yeah, I agree. This is fundamentally, as much as people who enjoy the nostalgia are upset about some of the choices, this movie it's a Star Wars movie in every way, shape, and form. It's unpredictable. It's a lot of fun. It's weird. There are porgs in it, and if you think of the older movies, those were weird movies.
They're weird movies. Yeah,
there are things that that weren't explained, like Ewoks, little teddy bears attacking people and getting shot out of the sky.
Giant slug monsters that you owe money to.
Yeah, those were weird movies, and they played on a lot of archetypes, but they were also so unpredictable. And this movie is all of that. And I think it's great that it's modern. The whole movie is about finding hope and causing a spark. And I think this movie does that figuratively for the franchise, because from here you can go anywhere.
Anywhere.
And that freedom is scary to some people.
And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just crazy to me that I guess people don't see what they have with this movie right now. It's I don't know. It's crazy.
I think it'll get there soon.
Eventually,
with the next one. And I think
because Abrams is directing the next one.
Maybe because he's back, baby. He's like, sorry about all that. That was a dream.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I agree. I think people will like it. I think if you look globally, I think people are gonna enjoy it. I don't think it's gonna slow down at all in the box office. I think it's gonna do just fine. Yeah.
Hopefully. I wish so.
But before we end, what do you guys have anything to plug?
There you go. Yeah, I mean, if you liked what you saw, and I mean, obviously you have to wait another year.
If you haven't turned against Star Wars, if you haven't burned your Star Wars.
Well, I mean, if you want something a little bit more familiar, then just come down to Heroes and Fantasies, and I can hook you up with some of the Star Wars comics.
What's the oldest Star Wars thing you think you have?
Well, I have some 77 Star Wars action figures in the store.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I mean, I think right now I have a Darth Vader, which is hard to find him with the lightsaber and cape.
Yeah.
But I think I have things like that. I mean, I have the original Slave One. I've seen the Millennium Falcon. I see all that stuff. I'm super blessed to be able to be see history like that.
All you guys are like a nostalgia.
Yeah, for sure. And but yeah, I mean, and again, the comics are part of the canon now. So yeah, just. If you're interested to come back to the and they're still making new comics now. Darth Vader's still ongoing.
It's like continuing.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure they can. I think they're coming up with like a Boba Fett spin-off thing where you get to see how he escaped the Sarlacc and things like that, and what he's been up to. So, if you're interested in more of the familiar Star Wars that you know and love, then come down to the shop.
Yeah,
cool.
John.
I don't have really much to plug other than listen to all the Delphin Pod podcasts, all the Sticker Fridge podcasts.
Boom, get geared up for that Marvel one we got going,
and the Marvel podcast. Yeah, the Marvel the Countdown to Infinity one is going to be really fun.
Exciting.
It's going to be awesome. I do want to say that Time Slice will possibly be out in a week or two.
Time Slice is a
time traveling
series.
pizza.
It is
service.
a web series. Yeah, it's a web series based on a time traveling pizza company, which is pretty awesome. It's been at least probably a year and a half in the making, possibly two.
I got a preview screening. It's actually pretty fun.
It's actually
how much time it took
it's
to
really
make
good.
Last Jedi. So you're saying it's up there with this.
I'm sure people will like it more than the Last Jedi.
It pushes the envelope.
It does. Yeah, so that's been in the works for a long time now. I remember actually shooting stuff for this very episode last year in March.
But
like 2016 in March.
It's pretty sick. They actually have some CGI in
Yeah,
there,
we
and
actually-
it's actually
it's-
really tough to like to do really good CGI, and
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
And the theme
CGI.
song just rocks.
Yeah,
Is this the first episode?
Yeah, it's the first episode.
Oh,
So
I've seen a super rough cut of
Again,
this.
Yeah,
first
exactly,
episode.
exactly.
And then once you watch the finished stuff, again, it's
really
the
funny,
production
actually.
design or the production value is just.
So yeah,
Right.
keep on the
Exciting
lookout
stuff.
for Time Slice. It's going to be out pretty soon, possibly even a week from this podcast release. So
Anywhere,
it's even awesome.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere,
anytime. Yeah, all I have to say, listen to all the Duffin Pod stuff. The Christmas special is coming out tomorrow already, but that'll be good. Ooh, yeah. It's just as good as the Star Wars Christmas special. And the last thing, don't forget, we're giving away this calendar, so you'll see that on all the social media. Someone's going to win it. I want to keep it.
I changed my mind. No one's going to win.
Yeah,
I
I
win.
really want to keep it. It looks so good. And now looking at the front cover after watching the movie,
Boom.
dang, which one's The Last Jedi, am I right?
Yeah. I don't know what everybody was expecting. This movie's called The Last Jedi. Only one Jedi was walking out of this movie, so it's not that big of a surprise.
And they
Get
can't kill
over
Rey.
it.
She got a 3-picture deal.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
Come
guys.
at me with facts.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for what is the end of this? This is the end of season 3. Is
This
this?
is it. Yeah, this is the last of the year, baby.
Wow. So onward to
'Cause
season
we did
fucking
Jumanji
4
last week. Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So season
Boom.
4 is
New year, new me.
We need to open up with some like Ragnarok and some Kingsman. We like some
Next
new
year.
movies.
We
that
gotta go
just came
ham.
out
Yeah.
on Blu-ray, but still
New.
relevant. Yeah,
That
yeah.
new. Dang, I just bought something for me that we can give away for Ragnarok. No, I'm gonna keep it.
Well, new Blu-ray releases this week also. Mother, It,
Yeah.
and
I don't know
Dunkirk.
what's
and
gonna
Dunkirk,
happen next
Dunkirk.
year. We did Lloyd Kaufman this year. That was pretty good. We didn't go to the Comic-Con. It's where we get a lot of good interviews,
yeah.
but we got a pretty good one.
we'll get some cool stuff this
Yeah,
next
I'm
year.
sure.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I got
So
to meet Bishop in this last Comic-Con.
But season 4 though, we've been on for 4 years now. Or we're starting with our next podcast.
If you started as a freshman in high school, you should be graduating. If you're not, oh man,
Yeah.
If you're not, it's okay.
it's okay. We're all there too.
we're still there.
I know. We'll see you at home ec, baby. All right, guys.
Later, guys.